with. All right, welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. We are reporting breaking news at this moment. Right now, we have reports of a 6.6 earthquake in California, just north of Los Angeles, quite a ways. It's actually closer to Bakersfield. And I also want to report that we have heard people in Las Vegas are reporting they have felt the tremor. So here we have an idea of how far away Vegas and California, not too terribly far. Mari, this
that's just to show you that USGS is actually crashed. We're trying to get in to get as much information as possible. I would just keep it on Twitter, see what people are tweeting about, who felt it, and whatnot. Social media tends to be, in these circumstances, the best source of getting information right now. The ECMC said that it was 5.4 miles deep. I don't have much more than that right now, Jake.
What I wanted to point out, though, we're getting multiple reports here. We had a 4.2 earthquake near Ridgecrest. Now, this was as July 4th. This is reported just a little while ago, Thursday, 10 a.m., actually 3 hours back. What time is it now, California?
They're like 3 or 4 hours
They're
behind us, I believe.
They're 3 back, so it is officially...
So that was a tiny tremor.
So this is what started today, a 4.2 earthquake near Ridgecrest, which is where this 6.5 has now been reported. Some are saying 6.5, 6.6. So already about an hour after this original earthquake had struck at a 4.2, now we have a 6.6 reported here by the USGS. And I'll tell you guys, Sears Valley, Mari, another tremor just happened in that region of Ridgecrest at 3.5 at 1:38. I think it's Searles Valley, California, is what they're calling where this official earthquake of 6. They've now downgraded it to 6.4. But this area has been a little bit active starting up this morning, and I will go all the way back and look here. I'm not seeing the 10 a.m. report of the earthquake. There we go, 102, the 4.0. So we started rocking at 4.0 and had a couple small ones at 2.5, 2.1, 1 p.m. These are Eastern times, by the way, folks. And just looking at to see if we have any more tremors right now. Right now, like I said, this started this morning at 10, 4.2, 4.0, 6.4, 4.0, and now a 3.5 in Ridgecrest. Mari, what are you hearing?
There's a few people out in the California region and Las Vegas. They're saying they have felt like a whole rolling kind of quake. I know the USGS is down. We just popped online because when you see something like that, it is like, wow, let's talk about it and see what's coming in. So let's see who we got here. Yeah, we had that large earthquake in Canada. And people are saying that Dutch Sense was predicting this yesterday after the large quake yesterday. So, this is definitely a big one. It's just unfortunate that we can't get any information. That it tends to happen when things break like this. So the site gets crashed. And if you want to open up a new window, I can try to get stuff.
I'm fine right now. I was going to talk about this, the coronal hole. This effect from this coronal hole was supposed to happen sometime between now and the 5th. So you also have to wonder if this possibility of solar activity that we're getting ready to go through had something to do with triggering this big of an earthquake. Also, that coronal hole that we reported on earlier today appears to be growing towards the eastern limb, turning earth facing. That should be earth facing by tomorrow. So looks like we have some tricky space weather to deal with here in the next 3 days. Mari, what did you...
I was just speaking with Teo. He's the owner of the Watchers.news, and I told him I was worried about significant earthquakes or volcanic eruptions with this incoming solar storm with how weak our magnetic field is.
And still trying to get on the usgs.gov. It is, as you can see, useless at this point to get on. I'm sure the site has crashed.
You can put that, open a new window, and I'll see if I can pull up something here. And then you can talk about whatever.
So again, just reporting a 6.6 initially reported earthquake near Ridgecrest again. They've already had a 4.2 and they just had a 3.5. We have folks in Vegas who are reporting feeling the light tremors from this earthquake. So this region has already been active. Like Mari had said earlier, we had activity just to our northwest coast near Canada, the 6.2, and now today with the 6.6. And here's a look at the Twitter feed right now. I kind of wanted to zoom in on their official map, but the site's down, so it's kind of hard. I wanted to give everybody an in-depth look of maybe some of the highways and roads that are around that area on the USGS. But unfortunately, as you guys probably understand, the site is probably crashed because of so many people who are trying to access the information right now. Mari, the producer that she is helping right now, trying to find some more information, maybe a little bit in-depth look. Right now, the depth was 40 kilometers. This happened at 1733 UTC. It is now officially a 6.4 earthquake, with the initial reporting of it being a 6.6. So there's folks commenting now, a lot of swaying. We grabbed antique bookcase to make it stay. Strong shake that woke me up and had everything in the house clanking together. Rolling motion at least lasted 25 seconds after small aftershocks. These are people that are reporting about this. I live in Daggett, California. It felt like a lot of shaking. Happy 4th. Rocked for a bit too here in Newberry Springs, California. Biggest felt in years. Side-to-side motion for about 30 seconds. This person thought that was pretty neat. So far, vehicles swayed as well. Barstow felt it. Slow, gentle roll. Ceiling fan had swayed. Woke people up out of bed. So far, we have not had any reports of any damage or any injuries at this point. This just happened, though, a few minutes ago. So information is still coming in at this point. Rolling, then a shock.
Let's take a look at the map where these testimonies are coming from, just to see.
All over the area.
Okay, so they're coming in all over.
This must be, Ridgecrest must be near a very rugged terrain. There's also some sort of naval air location, maybe a naval base out in this area. But this is rugged terrain, and I mean, just look at where the reports are coming in from. All over California, especially everyone in LA, and we can see some yellow and some orange spots popping up that far over towards the coast. So, but from what we can see in these initial reports so far, is that we're talking about light motion, some swaying of maybe some bookshelves and ceiling fans. So far, we haven't had any structural damage reported or any injury or death at this point. But just looking at this map here and where these reports are coming in from, this area with this earthquake in, thankfully, I don't know what is all out in that area. I'm not familiar with this part of California, but it looks like that this earthquake appears to be in an area that has rugged terrain and maybe not such a high population. I mean, just by looking at all the reports. Now, that also could mean there could have been some damage and people aren't able to report yet as well. So that is a concern because this is a large gap. You guys can see this on your screen where there's a large area of where we can't see any reporting in between Ridgecrest and Apple Valley and Bakersfield, where really that line begins to kind of form on where people are making their reports from. And right now, we're just not, like I said, either it's a rugged area that doesn't have a very high population, or it's possible that this earthquake has limited people to use devices at this point. Maybe the power's out, maybe cell tower signals are down. We just don't know. This just broke less than 15-20 minutes ago.
I will note currently right now there's no tsunami expected. It's offshore, so that's to be expected. Someone added that into the chat, so thank you for noting that. I'm just gonna go through the chat and see. Right now, if you look at this map, it seems it's just pretty mild in what people felt. The red, like is some kind of
it's an orange
damage in around Los Angeles. I don't know if you could go back to the testimony and see if we could find what kind of damage they're reporting there. This site doesn't really, I don't know if you can actually sort it for distance from. Probably no.
Doesn't look like it. I'll keep looking here. But so far, pool water and house rolling in Santa Clara.
Thank you. Aaron asked for the super chat.
Let's see. Lasted a long. That was huge. It was a rolling for a long time. House was shaking. Chandeliers started to sway. Side-to-side motion, intense rolling. Like I said, so far, there's no one witnessing any kind of damage, but everyone's saying the same thing, the rolling. Those who are coming in, we're reporting on a recent earthquake out near, I believe it's near, Bakersfield? Ridgecrest.
Ridgecrest, California, at Sears Valley.
Yeah.
And it originally recorded at 6.6. We're hearing 6.4, 6.5, and it was about 5.4 miles deep.
I'm just curious.
No big damages or anything reported at this time. However, it's breaking. I
would like to know, and this website I'm going to actually check every time we get earthquakes of this magnitude anywhere. But the fact that so many people are using the same words, rolling, 30 seconds, rolling, good side-to-side motion, but we keep seeing this word rolling on how it felt. Shake, rattled, rolled. Scary but cool. Was one account of this. Again, some rattling, no damage, and that was a report out of West Covina. Covina. You're the California native.
I used to live in California, so I am familiar with some of this.
Burbank, rolling earthquake, no jolts, but it seemed like it lasted for about 20 seconds. The room was shaking, dog barking, feeling dizzy. Northridge, California, mellow rolling quake here in Northridge, enough to swing the lights. So I'm going to have to go out and say that this earthquake so far has not had any serious damage or any damage reported at this time. Just maybe shaking a little nerves. But again, this is a location where it looks like where it is in a rugged, non-populated area, and that might be for the better here on this situation. So, but we wanted to get on real quick and report the 6.6 earthquake that was initially reported near Ridgecrest.
Easy for you to say, Jake.
Yeah, right. And before I go off the air, I just want to double check and see if we've had any more aftershocks in the region since we went live.
I'm still keeping an eye on social media to see if there's any photos or video. Right now, pretty much what I'm seeing on Twitter is someone's pool shaking. I mean, there really is not a whole lot of damage that is coming in from social media. So that's usually where we hear it first. So we'll just keep you guys updated as the information comes in. This is breaking. Unfortunately, we don't have as much information as we would like.
And I think with that said, we'll go ahead and get off the air. But if there's any new developments, any more action in this region, Mari or myself will be coming through with breaking news to report if and when it does happen. Hopefully, this is the end of any kind of seismic activity in this region. But once again, we're reporting a 6.4 earthquake near Ridgecrest, California, just 15, 20 minutes ago. No injuries, no damage has been reported at this time. And like I said, once again, we will keep you up to date.
People are asking to keep the chat going while information comes in. I'm more than happy to do that. I'll go ahead and I'll put the 3D earthquake up, and if something does come through, we can chime in that. I will just leave that going for you. I'll get that set up right now.
I agree with. I think it's a good idea to keep the chat up just for the sake.
So people can communicate what they're seeing, hearing, feeling, all that. That would be great.
Yep. All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and get that set up for you. And if there's any more information, we will come back on and report on that as well.
Please subscribe if you're new to this channel. We follow earthquakes, volcanoes, everything very closely and relate it to the sun's activity and space weather. So thank you for joining us, and we'll go ahead and get this set up and keep it going.
All right, so once again, those of you just tuning into the Grand Solar Minimum channel, we are reporting on a 6.4 earthquake out near Ridgecrest, California. That's near a naval base. I guess some sort of testing goes on out there. But we now know at least 23 aftershocks have been felt in the region since this 6.4 earthquake. It was actually reported as a 6.6. An earlier earthquake with early measured magnitude of 6.4 hit Southern California about 150 miles from Los Angeles on Thursday morning, according to the USGS. At least 4 large aftershocks have been recorded, measuring 4.7, 3.5, 3.8, and 4.2. And just updating now, another 3.8 that just happened a few minutes ago. It was felt in central Los Angeles as a long rolling quake, making buildings rock back and forth for at least several seconds. A general manager of the Hampton Inn and Suites in Ridgecrest told reporters that his hotel has significant damage. Chandeliers are still swinging, he said, 5 minutes after the quake hit. The floor rippled. Los Angeles International Airport said no damage was reported on runways and operations remain normal. And again, we're still pulling in information as this just happened less than a half hour ago, but we are still receiving reports of aftershocks. A lot of them are in their 2.5s and up, but we have had a 3.8 aftershock, a 4.7, 4.2. So we will continue to monitor this. I just wanted to get on here real quick, give a quick update. Still no damage reports other than the Hampton Inn Suites. And they said significant damage. So if that building has significant damage, I'm sure there'll be more to follow as far as reporting as it comes in. So we'll keep you guys posted and updated on the current situation in California. We'll leave this chat up so you guys can share experiences. If any of you felt it or are near somewhere where there might be damage, share with us. Let everybody know everybody's okay. But right now, nothing serious from what we can see on our end of this. All right, guys, we'll come back in if there's any more updates to what's happening right now.
Thank you for tuning in to Grand Solar Minimum channel. We are live covering the earthquake that just happened in California. A magnitude 6.4 earthquake rocked Southern California today, July 4th. It's out near San Bernardino County, widely felt around the region as many prepared to celebrate Independence Day. The preliminary 6.6, now downgraded to a 6.4 trembler, hit 10 o'clock, actually 10:33 a.m., centered around the Mojave Desert in this, I think it's pronounced Surlees Valley, about 11 miles east-northeast of Ridgecrest. That's about 109 miles north of San Bernardino and 121 miles northeast of Los Angeles. Dr. Lucy Jones, she gave a little bit of an analysis on Twitter. I'm just going to pull up her information. She says the 6.4 is on a strike slip fault about 10 miles from Ridgecrest. It's not the San Andreas fault. It's an area with a lot of little faults, but no long faults. So good news there. Very big quake. And luckily, no damage coming in at this time other than a few broken mirrors off the walls, some shaking pool waves, really nothing. So we will continue to keep an eye on this. I'll keep the live stream up for a bit longer. And after that, we will have definitely a live show Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. And I'm sure we'll have more information in regards to this. Certainly if other quakes do, more powerful quakes occur, we will hop online and give updates, but for now we'll just keep this rolling. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Please make sure you're subscribed, like, and share.
last time we had an earthquake in Southern California above magnitude 6 was 1999. The previous decade had about 8 magnitude 6s. So this has been an extremely quiet, abnormal time. This type of earthquake is much more normal. On the long run, we expect earthquakes of this size. It's not even 6.5. The long-term average is probably once every 5 or 10 years somewhere in Southern California. So, you know, remember, this is more what we should be thinking about.
But does that mean there's now more tension underneath it? Yeah.
Oh, no, I tend to, well, we argue.
I would actually say it's about the same. As Lucy was explaining, this type of earthquake is more what we would expect. Obviously, any earthquake that occurs releases some of that tension, but there's a tremendous amount that's built up since the last major earthquake, which was in 1857 on the San Andreas. So these types of earthquakes are kind of on the fringes of many of the other more active faults. This typically, this type of activity is actually very typical.
Lucy, you said we should be expecting lots of aftershocks. That if you could just walk through what we should expect for the next few hours and how, like, will it taper off? How does that work?
Since I haven't had a chance to even count the number of aftershocks so far, I can't be accurate with this one. An average 6.5. The largest aftershock is about 5.5, and there would be about 10 4.5s and 100 3.5s. I think we have already had probably in excess of 20 3.5s. So that suggests we're on the high side. This is not generic. This is probably, you know, there's a wide distribution between different sequences. We see factors of 10,000 variation in the productivity of sequences. The generic is the one I just gave you, 1 5.5, 10 4.5s. This seems to be on the high side, the upper 50%, right? So I would expect that there will continue to be magnitude 3s every few minutes, as there have been since this earthquake happened. And that as those many 3s come through, we're going to have several 4s. In fact, there was a 4.1 that happened about, I don't know, something like a minute ago. And somewhere in here, I said, I think they're going to get up about 5.
Okay. And for how long? You said to expect them for, like, we're talking about a 3-hour period, 2-hour period?
A few years? Okay, so yeah, not at this rate.
Okay.
However, whatever number you have in the first day,
all right, we've temporarily lost our signal there from Caltech, where Lucy Jones was giving us some information. She said that, you know, this afternoon we can maybe expect a larger aftershock, and that, you know, there may be magnitude 3 aftershocks every few minutes up in that Ridgecrest area. We are also hearing that in the city of Trona, California, which is a small town of about 1,900 residents, northeast of Ridgecrest on Highway 178, some building damage there. We'll get back to that. Let's get back to Lucy Jones.
in the 29 Palms Marine Corps Weapons Testing Center. So it was very isolated. The damage was limited because of it. It woke up people across Los Angeles. And I said 7.1. And that's the last time we've had an earthquake above 6 in Southern California itself. Easter Day 2010, there was a magnitude 7.2 in Baja California that was felt across much of the region, but it was actually located well south of the border.
Can you just explain, I'm hearing from my friends in the Inland Empire, and they seem to have felt a lot more than we did here. Can you kind of compare how the shaking would have felt across our
I'm wondering if we can
Do you have
find...
a shake map?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I can't even get this.
Let me try
Let's
to
see.
drive.
Okay, because if we could... here's did you feel it right here? If we can... we don't seem to have our...
Let me see.
Okay. I will...
While you resolve that technical issue, could you describe what the field teams do when they go to look for the
Okay, so
Surface activity.
an earthquake actually is the movement.
All right, we've been listening to Lucy Jones at Caltech talking about this earthquake that struck this morning. A couple things. This is the largest recorded earthquake that has struck Southern California since 1999. And she's saying that there is a 1 in 20 chance that a bigger earthquake will strike that area in the next couple of days. And that's a 1 in 20 chance, but still, it's a chance.
Yeah, the good news is this has nothing to do with the San Andreas Fault, but if that is an active fault, so that, as we know and we're told for years, that could have a problem at any time. Again, we're just getting a little things coming in. We saw some video a little bit earlier. There was damage inside of a liquor store in Ridgecrest and in the town of Trona, which is up Highway 178 northeast of Ridgecrest along the shores of Searles Lake. Apparently some of the buildings there have been damaged much closer to the epicenter. Meantime, on a telephone with us, one of our colleagues, Narissa Knight, who lives up in the Santa Clarita area. And Narissa, I understand you've had some damage to deal with.
Hi. Yes, Glenn, unfortunately. But we're just thankful that... Are you there?
Yeah, we're here. Yeah, we're here.
Okay. We're just thankful that it wasn't worse. You think you're prepared for things, and it's not even that bad, but then when it happens, you're kind of caught up in the moment. When it happened, that we were sitting on the couch, my husband and I, and we were actually watching the K285 morning news, and my husband felt it first, and I didn't feel it. He was like, there's an earthquake. I'm like, I looked at him like, really now? I'm like, oh, I saw stuff moving. So I jumped up and immediately ran to where the stairs are, and up under, mind you, things happen, and you don't think of the right things to do. You're thinking mama bear mode. So I stand right up under the main chandelier of the house by the stairs and yell, kids, earthquake, don't run down the stairs, because it's surrounded by old, floor-length mirrors from the carpet to the ceiling, all of the top of the stairs and down the stairs. So I said, earthquake, don't run down the stairs. But I'm standing under the largest chandelier, and then a large panel of glass comes crashing down. Wow. So I'm beside, so I feel some of the glass come down, and I get it on my foot. But thank God the kids didn't run down, and it just shot from where the glass fell all the way to the front door. It crossed the dining room, the living room, all the way to the front door. There were large, sharp shards of glass. So it's just a blessing that everything's well, that when it fell, all is well. And then we just saw chandelier shaking, and then they came down later, no problem, nothing. But it lasted for a while. As many people have said, it was a roller. Water in the pool splashes, the chandeliers swinging, and you're just you're in the headlights, how long is this going to last? What's going to happen? Is this going to stop? And then it stopped. And then when it stops, you want to get in a safer place for if there's an aftershock. And, we haven't felt any aftershocks, but you just heard the USGS warn us that there could be some, so we'll be prepared best we can for those.
Narissa, I think I heard you say that it was a rolling feeling for you guys. Can you confirm that?
That is exactly what it felt like when we were sitting on the couch. It felt like a roller when we were walking, and when I went and stood under the chandelier. Just a roller feeling, a feeling of moving from side, not jerking, but it intensified and then slowed down, and then you felt like it was moving forward. It just was one of the rollers that lasted longer than we're used to feeling. Having lived in LA, I remember feeling some smaller ones in 2000, 2002, just smaller ones, but never something like this one, to me anyway. It felt a lot stronger and longer than usual.
Narissa, not to put you on the spot or anything, but are you and your husband, are you guys prepared? Do you have, in case it had been something larger in terms of...
To tell the truth, no. We have the RV packed up for some stuff that we're going to do for the 4th. Yeah. So we do have snacks and refreshments in the refrigerator there. And it's only because last night we packed the RV up. But had it been any other day, we would not be prepared. And I'm just being honest. We have a kit in the garage that you and something in the trunk. But what we have is just some kind of stuff just to have to say you have it.
Yep.
But now, if you're thinking we got to leave home right now so that we're fed and clothed and, you know, things that we're really going to need, and I would have to run back upstairs to get things that you have to have paper-wise and things, just a lot of stuff. We got to rethink some things.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you got quite a mess to clean up there on your stairway, and it's a good thing that you yelled up to your kids, because if they had run down the stairs, you know, they may have been coming down the stairs when that mirror broke.
Yes, sir. That's true.
Well, Narissa, we're glad that you're safe, you and your family, and thanks for calling in, and enjoy your 4th with the broom.
Count your blessings.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm keeping an eye on my phone right now. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys, and I may see you later on, and I may not. It depends.
All right.
Okay,
All
cool.
right.
Thanks.
All right. Hang in there, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
All right, let's go back to Caltech. Lucy Jones' news conference is continuing.
But if you were sitting on your sofa in your living room, like I was, I not only, oh, I'm sorry. I realize you guys are doing this. I was trying to, all right, let's do this again. Most of the Los Angeles area is intensity 3. And intensity 3 means felt by most people inside, much more rarely if you're walking around. Maybe felt pretty strongly on an upper floor where you'd get some extra moving of the building. And that describes most of the Los Angeles area. If you get in really close up to Ridgecrest, you start seeing these much higher intensities that imply there could have been damage in that area. So, but I extremely unlikely that there's any damage outside of Ridgecrest and China Lake. Those two communities, I presume somebody's in there trying to help them.
And we don't currently have a lot of reports up where that star is located. That's where the epicenter is. That's just because it's much less densely populated than in the LA region.
What reports are you getting?
Well, this is a shaking report, what's being displayed right here. It's not necessarily a damage report, and unfortunately we don't get directly reports of damage.
Is this like a monitor, or is this a in-person when you say a report?
Well, these are actually reports where people, this is called the Did You Feel It? And you can actually go in on the web and type in your experiences. So this is actually collecting information from people who did experience the earthquake.
And encourage people to do that. The U.S. Geological Survey site, Did You Feel It? You can tell us what you received. At this point, there's over almost 24,000 reports have been brought in. That information is used to then calibrate between stations and what happens to people, and it helps us better understand what we're recording on our instruments if we can correlate it with what people have experienced.
When do you guys expect the next update?
Yeah, I would.
When you hear from the geologists.
Yeah, so just very briefly, we have geologists that are heading out to the field to see if there's any surface rupture. They might also be able to get some information about damage potentially. We also need a chance to actually look at a lot of the data that's coming in. As Lucy has said, there's been probably hundreds of aftershocks recordings. We can get a better idea of what to expect in the next few hours by looking at that data a little bit more closely. So I don't want to make any promises, but maybe in the next couple hours.
I think we could also offer, if we wanted to, like on the hour, come in and give you any update that we've got at those times, at least for the next few hours.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is a holiday. People have a lot of special events planned. What would you tell people in the greater LA area about their plans today?
Unless you have to come in and work, go ahead.
Lucy's got lots of extra food at her house.
Yeah, I know.
Can you say some of your first last names again? I'm sorry, every time.
Okay, my name's Lucy Jones, Lucyjones. I'm a seismologist with Caltech. I'm also the chief scientist of the Dr. Lucy Jones Center for Science and Society.
And Robert Graves, Robert Graves, and I'm a seismologist with the U.S. Geological Survey.
Thank you very much. And how about we say we come back at 12:30?
Yeah, it's 11:45 right now.
It's quarter now. So, and then on the half hours, we'll try to come and tell you.
Great having you back here. It brings back memories.
Yeah. Me too.
Yeah. You want to take a break and just...
All right, just wrapped up that news conference at Caltech with Lucy Jones and her associate. Again, a 6.4 quake hitting 10:33 this morning, 11 miles northeast of Ridgecrest. And we have another resident on the phone of Kern County. This is Donna from a town called Inyokern. It's right near the Inyokern Airport, 8 miles west of Ridgecrest. Donna, I understand that you do have some damage.
We didn't have any structural damage to our some shaking, pictures moved, pottery was broken. We have friends in Ridgecrest and have had reports that there are power lines down in Ridgecrest. Oh, there's another. We keep getting aftershock constantly.
Oh, really? How does that one compare to the actual earthquake that hit at 10 this morning?
The one this morning went on for quite a while. The aftershocks are generally much shorter and briefer.
Yeah.
The one we just had felt like someone hit in front of the house.
Wow.
Just kind of smacked it in one big boom.
Oh, so it was a little bit of a jerk as opposed to the rounding. Yeah. Lucy Jones was saying there's a really good chance that you guys probably will, 1 in a 20 chance that another earthquake will hit out there, but you're feeling aftershocks right now.
Yes, constant.
Yeah, the Kern County Fire Department said that they're responding to about 24 incidents from medical assistance to structure fires. Are you seeing any of that going on in your neighborhood?
We're not. We're kind of remote. We don't really have neighbors. My mom and stepdad were in Ridgecrest when it hit, having breakfast at a local restaurant. They evacuated the restaurant. Everything's fine. I think they're just being cautious in case something, happened.
Yeah. Well, do you have pets at all? Did they react if you do?
We do. They were just very quiet. Our cat is rather freaked out. She's hiding upstairs.
Yeah.
My stepdaughter's visiting from Texas, and she's never felt one before. So, yay, what a great way to start.
Right. Welcome to LA or welcome to Southern California. Well, thank you so much, Donna, for calling in. We appreciate it. Glad everyone in your family's safe. As Glenn mentioned, the Kern County Fire Department is reporting that they are going out on at least 24 incidents in that area, and everything ranging from medical assistance all the way to structure fires. I imagine, with these medical issues, like some people can get anxiety probably, something like this, and maybe may have to have an ambulance come and check them out, especially if they're elderly or people that deal with anxiety, because earthquakes can be stressful.
They can be stressful, and the structure fires, good chance that some of those are probably started because of natural gas lines.
Oh, yeah.
Going into a home, and because they're up where the quake was much more powerful, those lines could break loose and can ignite a fire.
Well, we saw, there hasn't been a lot of damage down here in the Los Angeles area, but then you see that liquor store in Ridgecrest, all the bottles were off the shelf. So that was a pretty substantial shake for them, for sure. Mark Kono's been with us all morning. And Mark, where are you now?
Yeah, have a look at this. Lou and Glenn, good morning again to you. We are still over Magic Mountain, where we continue to watch the process here, where things generally are getting back to normal now. We've been here for the better part of 20 to 30 minutes, and at that point, a lot of the rides were still kind of running empty, probably part of their safety procedures or safety checks following an earthquake like this. But again, over the course of the last several minutes, a lot of the rides, even Colossus, are seeing people reboard, and that is certainly some good news here. When we first got here, again, 25, 30 minutes ago here, Hurricane Harbor was already back in action there, and so that is going to be a full house. But again, operations here at Six Flags Magic Mountain, following some safety checks, we presume things are looking back to normal, with a lot of these rides being repopulated. Have a look at this. Wow, what a fun day.
Yeah, if I'm in that right now, I'm going like, this is a big mistake.
No way.
I should not have done this.
Wow, that is a really steep roller coaster.
Well, fortunately, it doesn't last long.
Wow. And there was just an earthquake.
Yeah.
Not sure if I'd be there.
Well,
well, people live on the edge. It is July 4th.
Yeah, all day long. All day long.
Why not, right?
Yeah. Hey.
Got to do what you got to do.
All right. Again, Lucy Jones saying that we will feel some aftershocks, or maybe not necessarily here in Los Angeles, but certainly up in the Ridgecrest area and up there in Kern County. As a matter of fact, we had Donna on the phone from Inyokern, and as she was talking to us just at the beginning of the conversation, she had an aftershock.
Yeah.
And it's Lisa scared her cat, who won't come out of the closet.
Well, I think it's interesting what also Lucy Jones said that, you know, basically this is the largest recorded earthquake since 1999 in Southern California. But then she also said, so if you've just been hanging out here for, you know, a decade or so, or even 20 years, basically 10 years here in Southern California, you really haven't experienced many earthquakes, because the decade before there were at least 10 above the 6.1 magnitude. So that's a big deal.
Yeah, it has been pretty calm for the last, especially the last 10 years. But I was frankly was a little surprised to hear that this was the strongest quake to hit in 20 years. I mean, 1999. That's going back quite a ways.
Yeah. Well, we see them. You know, occasionally we'll hear like 3.4 or 3.9. But Lucy Jones always, for lack of a better word, poo-poos those as that's just something normal that happens on a regular basis that we don't even realize. It's just the earth shifting here in California. But 6.4 is an entirely other ball game for us. Again, this happened in Ridgecrest at 10:38 this morning, unless you just woke up.
Yeah.
This is the news of the day. A lot of people talking about it and a lot of people feeling it.
And we're now getting reports that this earthquake was felt by people in more than 100 cities. And we actually have some reaction on tape of people reacting to when this earthquake hit. Let's take a look.
I thought it was the vibration of a car underneath the park vibrating as they went into the lot, until you all said, "Did you feel that?" I didn't realize it was an earthquake. And then a couple of other people chimed in. So it wasn't too hard, but I definitely felt the vibrations. That is big. It makes me a little nervous about aftershocks.
It kind of like shook me up because, you know, first thing I thought was that San Andreas fault line and we got to get out of this building.
I thought I was dizzy. Then I kind of like stood still and I'm like, oh no, I'm not dizzy. You know what? That's an earthquake.
Felt like a few shakes, a few trembles. We just made sure that all of our infrastructure is still in place. So we're doing that check right now.
We had similar feels.
Yeah, I think the best line there was, I was dizzy. I thought I was dizzy,
Yeah.
and then I wasn't dizzy, and I was dizzy.
All right. Well, that's what happened with us in the makeup room. I was talking with Robert from our internet show, and I can't remember if I was talking or he was talking, but he just said, I feel like I have vertigo right now. And then I said, well, I feel like I'm on a boat. And it was just but no one else felt it. It was very strange. But those are the experiences that everyone has. Then we talked to Narissa Knight, one of our colleagues, and she apparently has a lot of glass in her home, and the chandelier, some glass fell from the chandelier.
Well, she had a mirror on a mirrored wall, and that collapsed, and that was all over their staircase going upstairs. And luckily, you know, when it started, her kids who were upstairs didn't run downstairs because all that glass would have fallen on.
Right, and that's another reminder. You know, a lot of people say to keep a pair of shoes under your bed, because a lot of times if you're sleeping and an earthquake hits, it's dark. You jump out of the bed because you're afraid, and then there could be glass, there could be anything when you go from that room to another room. So it's always great to leave flip-flops or possibly tennis shoes. A little tidal wave in the pool there.
Yeah.
And they had to actually get the camera going to record that. So that's lasted for a pretty long time. And then the dog comes flying around the corner on this video too, I think.
Yeah, not exactly your typical 4th of July that we were expecting today.
Yep, big conversation for it though. But they do say that we can expect to feel some aftershocks, probably not in our area as much as the Ridgecrest area out in the different counties close to that. And Lucy Jones also mentioned this is what's called a strike slip fault. And one thing she explained, a lot of people were asking, you know, a lot of times when these types of earthquakes hit, there are different wavelengths, energy in the wavelengths when this happens. And so there are high frequency and low frequency waves. And the high frequency are the ones that are a little bit more jerky, and that feeling, that post feeling sort of goes away. But the low frequency, almost like a bass of music, that dies off slower. So that's why you could have felt nauseous while the earthquake was hitting, but then you could still feel nauseous like 20 minutes later, which a lot of people here talked about that was their experience.
Yeah, it was definitely in our newsroom. It was definitely kind of a wave, rolling wave feeling underneath of your feet. It was. I was standing in there. I was sitting in the newsroom talking to somebody, and I heard everybody in the newsroom started like, "Whoa, what's going on? What's And I thought they were reacting to something they saw on TV, which they do a lot on the morning show when something funny happens. And I go, "What's going on?" They go, "We're having an earthquake." And then at that point, I felt it. But again, you know, it wasn't exactly in our backyard. It was centered 125 miles north of Los Angeles, up there in Kern County, and it was 10 miles north of the city of Ridgecrest. So it was a long ways from us, relatively speaking, but it was certainly felt. And again, people in more than 100 cities around Southern California and maybe in some other states actually felt this one today.
If you're traveling today, possibly out of LAX, we haven't heard from Burbank, but LAX operations there are normal right now. They were going to do a precautionary check of the runways, but overall operations are a go at LAX. Probably slow right now, but as usual, but at least everything's normal. No word of delays on flights or cancellations.
And even more importantly, the roller coasters are rolling again at Magic Mountain.
That surprises me, actually. That really does. It seems like they would have some type of like, you know what, there was an earthquake, probably not. I mean, liability-wise, it seems like they would not do the roller coasters at least for a couple of hours or maybe a day.
Well, I guess they checked it out and everything's okay. They certainly wouldn't let them back on there. Can you imagine being on a roller coaster and having one of those aftershocks?
No, not fun. So the video on our left, I'm not sure if that is ultimately ends up being the liquor store video, but it looks pretty clean and tidy there. But what we did see.
This is in Anaheim, actually.
Oh, okay. So there's damage there, Mazen? Oh, just movement, okay. But we do have that video from the liquor store in Ridgecrest, which was pretty strong. But again, as they had mentioned this morning, depending on the soil that the building is on and the building itself can affect how the earthquake affects each. See, there we go. This video is pretty intense.
Store in Ridgecrest,
that looks like two different earthquakes, basically.
Yeah, that's a lot of damage there in that
liquor store in
Ridgecrest. They're going to spend some time today cleaning that mess up. And you know too, you talk about what the soil is underneath. I know in Marina Del Rey, that was built up, and if there's ever a serious earthquake, I mean, there's a chance that literally the soil there just liquefies.
Oh right, I didn't think about that.
And that's when you can get some really serious major damage.
Let's check in with Christina Pascucci. She's at Caltech this morning for us. Hi, Christina.
Hi, good morning to both of you. What a morning. We were on another story conducting an interview in the middle of talking to a woman when her lights started swaying in Hawthorne. So it was felt truly all over the Southland. I want to bring in right now Dr. Jen Andrews. She's a seismologist with Caltech. Thank you for being with us. As we've been standing here just a few seconds ago, there was another aftershock of 4.0.
Yeah, we're seeing a very large number of aftershocks come through, a number of magnitude 4s, so people are still going to be feeling that shaking. It's still very active. We've seen about 40 or 50 so far. We expect that to continue.
And I think two interesting pieces of information. There was a foreshock. Tell us about that, and then also the chance of there being a bigger one in this region. This is just part of a sequence, possibly.
Right, so we did have a magnitude 4 foreshock about half an hour before, so there was some indication that we were about to have a bigger one. In terms of could there be an even bigger one after this, there is a small chance, about 1 in 20, about a 5% chance we get a foreshock to an even larger quake. But there aren't too many really big faults in this region, so this could be the largest we see, but everyone should be prepared.
And Dr. Lucy Jones was saying when she saw that 4.0 or that, that foreshock, she thought, haven't seen activity in that region of that size for quite some time. Can you tell us which fault it was and what we know about it?
Right, so we can't say for certain yet. We're still analyzing all of that data, but the nearest fault that we have is the Little Lake fault out there, so it could be associated with that.
And right now, seismologists, geologists headed to the area to see what kind of damage was done to the earth if it was ruptured. What about that part of this story?
Right, there'll be ongoing analysis in the next days to weeks to understand this. This was a sizable earthquake. We could see some surface evidence of this, some surface rupture. We will definitely be investigating. We obviously will be keeping monitoring in the next days to weeks to understand.
There are seismometers all throughout Los Angeles. Okay, I'm being told we have to wrap on this, but we'll talk about that shortly. Thank you so much. Dr. Lucy Jones going to be here at 12:30 talking more about this, you guys, and we have so much information and data coming in we're going to break down for you from here at Caltech. But for now, Lou and Glenn, I will send it back to you.
All right, thank you, Christina.
All right, let's check in. We've been trying to get in touch with him most of the day. Eric Sherwin with San Bernardino Fire. Good morning, or good afternoon now, 12:01.
Yes, good afternoon.
So, Eric, kind of give us heads up on what your department is doing at this hour.
Well, as is standard for most fire agencies in Southern California, as soon as we start feeling the shaking, the first thing we're going to do is move all of our apparatus out of the stations in case we sustain any damage to the stations or power failures that would prevent us from getting our engines out of the stations and onto the road. This is one of those natural disasters where we get the heads up before the 911 calls start to come in. So actually, our first report came from our fire station up in Trona. After they got out of the station, they immediately began surveying the area, requested additional resources, which have been arriving into the communities over the past hour.
Yeah, what is going on up there? Because we heard there is some damage.
Yes. Now, up in the northwest section of our county, we don't have a high population density, which in a situation like this is a good thing. However, the residents that are out there, we have found numerous homes and buildings with some minor cracking. We have had some breaks of some significant water mains out there, some power lines that are down, rock slides on the highways through the canyons. But fortunately, to this point, we've had no injuries and no reports of fires subsequent to that earthquake.
Okay. Well, that's certainly good news. What about, you know, the part of your county, the name of the highway, actually Interstate 40, I guess, that goes into Arizona. That's a vast stretch of San Bernardino that's, you know, lightly populated. Have you heard of anything coming from that area?
Nothing out to the east. Right now, the furthest south damage we have had, or a confirmed report, is down in the community of Hinckley. Again, when we look at an earthquake of this magnitude, one of our biggest concerns is broken gas lines.
Yeah.
And natural gas starting to accumulate in some of these structures, unoccupied structures. So the potential for a fire or anything as that gas continues to accumulate is a major concern. So we do take a very methodical approach as we work through these communities, using our 4 gas detectors and looking for any signs of a natural gas break or gas accumulating in any of these structures.
Yeah, we've heard of some structure fires in Kern County that they're responding to, considering, you know, that the amount of people that live there compared to, you know, San Bernardino County. Certainly lucky that you haven't had any reports of that so far.
Yes, that is correct. And like we said, the northwest section of our county does not have the high population density, and you don't have to drive too far to get that to that community of Ridgecrest, where it does sound like they do have those types of incidents taking place.
Well, Eric, also, too, you guys are going to be on high alert today because when these earthquakes hit, there are always the aftershocks. How does your department prepare for that?
The same thing. It's yet another earthquake. But when we have structures that may have sustained damage in any of the previous tremblers, that compounding shaking has the ability to reveal damage or increased damage that has already taken place. Our crews out there are calling out the earthquakes on our TAC channels as they take place. So we treat it like any other: stop, drop, cover, hold on, and continue to make progress.
And of course, after dealing with this all day, then you got to be concerned about fireworks tonight. So
yes, that's good. That's a good point.
Wow.
And you guys are on that shift work as well. You know, a lot of times, Kern County Fire was talking about their being called out to several incidents, some structure fires, and also medical assistance. When earthquakes hit like this, I know with the ambulances that are called out, is this high anxiety issues for some people? They call for possibly, you know, a heart attack or anxiety attack?
Absolutely, and you touch on a very good point. This can be a very stressful situation for people, and they can wind up suffering medical issues that are not trauma-related, but just the stress of the event and the repeated exposures to the aftershocks can induce some of these medical aids. So in addition to moving of engine companies and rescue companies, we do have ambulances available. Another thing our Office of Emergency Services does is they talk to all the regional hospitals. Did they sustain any damage, and what is their capability of accepting patients?
All right, Eric, we certainly appreciate your time and insight with the San Bernardino Fire Department there, Eric Sherwin, and good luck today. I know, you know, first responders, this is going to be a long day anyway because of the holiday and everything that usually happens during the July 4th with some people getting a little crazy with the fireworks. And now you've also got to deal with this today. So anyway, best of luck, and we certainly appreciate your service.
Thank you for your time.
Yep, okay. And for calling in. All right, same thing with our LAFD, the stations here, 106 stations. They also are going out and doing strategic surveys this afternoon now that it's 12 o'clock, going out just to survey and make sure everyone's okay, make sure there's no damage in their areas. So again, this earthquake hit at 10:38. It is the largest recorded earthquake to strike Southern California since 1999 at magnitude 6.4, 11 miles east-northeast out in the Mojave Desert and near Ridgecrest. A lot of people feeling the rolling feeling of this earthquake back here in Hollywood, Santa Monica, Beverly Hills, Santa Clarita got some damage, and then Ridgecrest, we're starting to see some damage come in from that area.
Yeah, and we're talking 125 miles north of Los Angeles, so quite a ways from us, but everybody felt it around here. Let's go to Steve Cooge. He has some new information and some video to show us. Steve?
Yeah, you know, since this earthquake has broke, thankfully we live in this day and age when everyone's got access to a little video camera right in their pocket for the most time. So within seconds after this earthquake started happening, we started looking on social media, and video after video after video was coming in. Let's show you right now just some of what we've seen here. This video, we've been running a little bit of it. This is from a liquor store in the city of Ridgecrest. The daughter of the liquor store owner recorded this, posted it online to her Twitter account, and as you can see, her dad's store is just absolutely demolished. You're looking at thousands, perhaps tens of thousands of dollars of damages, all in just products, liquor bottles that have come crashing down to the ground. When these earthquakes hit, they come in this wave, and it starts picking up in intensity, and the shaking happens, and it's not like a truck was to crash into this building and throw things to the ground. It's like several trucks crash doing it from side to side, and you see the damage. Then there's these videos of pools. We have so many residents here in Southern California with pools. This guy here is one of them. I believe he's in the Santa Clarita Valley area, and you could see his hot tub there sloshing around. The pool water at one point was going over the edge of the brick right here. We saw a number of videos like this being posted online. Here you see the water actually splashing out of the pool, making it onto the side. I can't tell you how many pool videos we looked at. As soon as the shaking started, people, they ran outside, they ran to get to safety, and this here is just one example of that, of people trying to get out away from where things come crashing down, and the first thing they see is a pool or something in their backyard, and all that water just sloshing back and forth. In this video here, you see that it's kind of like the after effects. I mean, you can see how wet the whole backyard is. Everything is soaked. I believe this person here recorded their video a little bit closer to the town of Ridgecrest, and you can see the difference between a video that was recorded perhaps, 100 miles away versus a video that was recorded 50 miles away. The damage is so much different. And if we can again throw up that video one more time just to go back into that liquor store, because it's really breathtaking. I've been through a number of earthquakes, and one of the things we do when we go into these areas that have been struck by the shaking and the quaking, we look for liquor stores, we look for pharmacies, places that have a lot of shelves, and unfortunately these are usually the locations that suffer the worst. Again, this store is in the town of Ridgecrest. It's going to take them days to clean up this mess. Hopefully they have good insurance that covers earthquake damage and acts of God like this, because that's going to be pretty pricey. You can see just massive containers and crates of beer bottles and wine cases just falling over to the floor like that. So again, we're going to keep on looking online, and if you have any videos or pictures of the quake damage that you have maybe recorded yourself, please give us a shout over at KTLA, give our phone systems a call, or shoot us an email. A lot of you follow me on social media. Send me a message. We would love to see what you guys are seeing firsthand from this quake damage today. Lou, Glenn, I'll throw it back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. We have some more video to show you. We set up in Kern County that they were responding to several incidents, medical attention or structure fires, and you are now looking at one of those structure fires taking place in Kern County. Most likely because there's a natural gas line that runs into the house and it broke loose, and this is unfortunately what happens a lot when we have earthquakes.
Wow. That's a pretty intense fire.
Yeah, very intense. You've got those trees around there, which is certainly not going to help the situation.
Yeah. scary to think that if it were any larger, like that's going to happen, you know, one day.
Yeah.
At more places than just one home.
Well, one positive, at least, you know, that's not a densely populated area.
Yeah.
So hopefully if there's not a lot of wind up there, they'll be able to contain this to the one structure and keep it to that, and everything will be all right.
All right, let's check in with Mark Mester, Huntington Beach. Yeah, Mark, you were out there celebrating July 4th and having a good old time, and then this earthquake struck. Did it rattle some nerves out there for the parade goers?
Well, let's find out right now. We got some locals here. Norwalk has said where you're from. What's your name? What'd you feel?
My name is Rosa, and what I felt was a little bit of dizziness, and I thought, wow, I should be drinking water. And then I thought my friend was moving my chair because we were in the parade, and I moved my chair up front, and I still felt dizzy, and then it subsided. And my grandson kind of looked at me this way, you know, thinking that, you know, what's going on, you know, but...
And then, I kind of felt it, like, shaking. Like, I thought some kid was, like, moving, like, shaking it behind me, or I thought I was just shaking for some random reason.
Were you scared?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Just, like,
But all's okay now.
Yeah, everything was okay. And then, you know, then afterwards I thought, okay, my dizziness subsided. I thought, you know, it's because of heat or something like that. And then next thing I knew, everybody was saying, oh my God, we just had a 6-point-something earthquake. And we were all looking on our phones, and then everybody was asking, did you feel it? Did you feel it? Because, well, I felt dizzy. I thought it was a subtle movement, but I thought it was just me. I didn't know it was an earthquake till much afterwards. So yeah, it was just kind of like, whoa. And then we ran inside to one of the stores, and then we heard the news that it was a 6-point-something earthquake and 6.4, and that there was some damage somewhere, but I didn't know where it was centered at.
I think they were showing some of the damage up north, but thank you for your story. We appreciate your time. Let's check in. You're from Arizona. Have you ever been in an earthquake before?
Not really, no.
So you felt it today, though?
Yes.
What was that like? You were in the parade, everyone was celebrating, and then what kind of feelings did you experience?
It was like you were on a swing, like at a playground, but instead of going front to back, you were going side to side.
Have you ever felt anything like that before?
Not really, no.
And so what do you make of it now that you survived an earthquake?
It's pretty cool.
Pretty cool. At least you can say it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
All right, we appreciate your time. Thank you. We got some more visitors. These guys are from Atlanta. You said you were in your hotel room when this happened?
Hey, my CEO gotta get my CEO.
Okay.
Bro, it was crazy. I'm telling you. So at first, like, it was just shaking, like, it was shaking.
Yeah.
And I got mad at him because I thought he was shaking the thing. And we were playing the game, so I thought he was trying to pull a slick one on me, like, trying to be. Yeah, bro, I thought he was trying to be, like, slick with her or something like that. So I got mad at him.
Yes, it's a good day for singing a song, and it's a good day from morning to night.
Listen, one at a time.
Listen, I was mad because I'm listening to my song on my MacBook, and I'm like, CEO, you feel that?
Exactly.
Wait, whoa. I was like, I never felt that before. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I thought it was haunted. I thought it was a haunted hotel for real. I thought it was a haunted hotel.
So now that you know what earthquakes are like, would you do anything differently this time? Would you take shelter? Would you cover your head?
Drink lots of water, duck and cover, and if anything happens, alert the police.
You guys have been briefed before. All right, you're from Atlanta. Sorry you guys' stay was a little bit shaky, but hopefully it's better on the back end. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, gentlemen. We appreciate it. All right, Glenn and Lou, it's been a bit of a tense situation here in Huntington Beach, but a lot of folks just finished the parade, so they're enjoying themselves. You can see it's been a great day down here, and they're really anticipating that fireworks show, which starts at about 9 o'clock tonight, right at the Huntington Beach Pier. But unfortunately, they've dealt with a little bit of speed bump, had a little minor quake with some aftershocks, and they're currently dealing with it. And as we learn more about the situation, how folks are reacting, we'll sure keep you guys posted as new information comes into our newsroom. I'm Mark Mester, live in Huntington Beach this afternoon on the 4th of July. Sending it back to the two of you in Hollywood.
All right, Mark, I love that those guys thought it was a ghost.
Yeah, well, it looks like everybody's kind of back in celebration mode, which is a good thing. Another big celebration for the 4th going on downtown in Grand Park.
That's where Lauren Lister is. Good morning, good afternoon. I feel like we're still in the 11 o'clock, but we're not. It's 12:15 now.
I feel you, Lou and Glenn. You know, it is. And you know, we actually moved because Grand Park, they're setting up. That's not getting going until 3. But here, we moved to the Broad Museum where you can see tons of people are still all lined up, and a lot of them did, in fact, feel the earthquake. It's not deterring them from going out and about, which is exactly what Lucy Jones said in the LA area we should. So guys, tell us your name and what you felt.
My name's Crow, and we were at home at my apartment a little while ago in Chinatown, and it just felt like being on a boat all of a sudden, just kind of wavy, sort of feeling, which was different than other earthquakes that I've felt before. Other ones were more like vibraty and things like that. This one was a lot more wavy.
And you are from Los Angeles, so this might not have been as surprising to you, but you're visiting from Austin. So what's going through your mind as you feel the ground start to, have a rolling sensation?
Well, I was just about to get into the shower and I felt like the droplets started getting kind of weird and I was like, what is happening? And then it felt that rolling feeling. And it was the first earthquake that I've ever...
In your entire life?
Yeah.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. Oddly, it was kind of less scary than I thought it was going to be, but at the same moment as it's happening, you're kind of like, whoa, when is this going to stop? And
at one point did you register what it was? Because a lot of people describe it, I've heard today, say they thought they were getting dizzy.
Yeah, that's how I felt too. I think once I heard the other people in the apartment and they were also feeling it, I was like, oh, it's not just me.
And so, but it's not deterring you guys, so you may have felt it, but it doesn't seem to be rattling your nerves too much.
No, not at all. I mean, this is maybe my 5th earthquake or something like that, and so earthquakes haven't really scared me for a while. So we already had these plans where we're gonna go. Let's not.
Yeah,
that's
well,
fine.
Enjoy your 4th. Thanks for talking to us. And here's another young woman, also from Austin. Just a coincidence, you felt the earthquake. Tell us your name and where you were and how you experienced it.
Yes, hi, my name's Abhigna. So I'm visiting from Austin. I was at a friend's place and I actually felt that I was feeling dizzy and I just sat there for a couple of seconds and then the chandelier started to move a little and then the door, it was open, so it started swaying a bit. And it's my first ever earthquake and I didn't know what's happening. And I think later my friend said, okay, this is probably another earthquake. And it lasted for a good 7 or 8 seconds and we were just wondering the whole time, is it done? Is it still going on? So yeah, it was pretty cool in a way.
So what's your experience after feeling that? What's your sense of an earthquake now that you've lived through your first one?
I think it felt like I was on a hanging bridge and somebody was shaking it on the other side. So I wasn't all that scared and I think it's expected, I guess, when you come to California. But I don't know, I think it was cool. But it didn't feel unsafe or it didn't feel really bad, this one.
Didn't have that sense of, okay, I got to get down, I got to duck and cover, I got to jump into action.
No, not this one, no. I think it took us a while to even figure it out that, okay, this is an earthquake. And when we did, it had started dwindling down. So.
Well, thanks for talking to us. Enjoy the museum. Now, a couple of things that I want to point out from their experiences. There are things that echoed what we heard from Dr. Lucy Jones, a seismologist, in the press conference that they gave a short time ago. She said, for one, this is registered in Southern California in the LA area as an intensity 3 earthquake, which means that if you were inside, you were likely to feel it, but maybe not outside. And we heard from a couple people inside saying they indeed felt it. Some people I have talked to this morning here in this exact same area said, no, they didn't feel it. They didn't know what happened. They didn't know what was going on, or they didn't register that it was an earthquake until people started saying that it was. Another thing, they're out enjoying their day. It's important to note, Dr. Jones said that in the LA area, what should people on this 4th of July know? What should they be doing if they have plans and were planning to enjoy the festivities? She said, unless you have to go in and work, enjoy, go do your thing, do what you were planning. I'm paraphrasing, those weren't her exact words, but you get my point. So those are a couple of things to point out. As you can see, a lot of people felt it, weren't necessarily scared of it. It was the rolling feeling, and we learned from Dr. Jones also that this is the frequency of earthquakes that reach far from the epicenter are those rolling feelings, and so that's why we felt the rolling, because we're pretty far away from the epicenter. So we're learning a lot today, and we're hearing a lot of experiences, and that's the latest live here in downtown LA. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Lauren, thanks for those updates.
Okay, so when somebody comes to work here at KTLA, they have a training day. I don't know why, because basically all TV stations kind of do things the same.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a reporter and you're out in the field. Well, we have a new reporter named Jennifer McGraw, and today's supposed to be her training day.
Yes, and we have yet to meet her. Today was supposed to be her training day, but she's going to be live for us. She's in Pasadena. Jennifer, are you there?
Hi, Lou and Glenn. What a welcoming home. My first day here on the job, KTLA, was supposed to be training, but we're all professionals. We got this. But there's nothing better than a welcoming from this giant earthquake that struck 160 miles to the north. Here we are in Los Angeles, and we missed it. we missed it. But, you know, there's something to be said about missing that tremor, missing that shake, because it is something that is so terrifying, especially as you can imagine for those people that are up north. But here, we didn't feel it, especially John and I, because we were driving on the 110 freeway. And you got to think about it, when you're driving or walking, you're probably going to miss it. But we talked to a lot of people who say they certainly felt it. Let's listen in. Darn. We're not going to hear from them yet, but we will hear from them later in the newscast. Just up the street, these people say on the hotel's high rise, about 2 stories up, the whole mirror started shaking. This woman's trying to do her hair. They're from Texas. She said, honey, help me, what's happening? Such a cute couple out here for a wedding. Their first earthquake they experienced, as I've experienced for the first time in so long, since I haven't been here in Southern California. I've been jaunting all around the country, but excited to be back here. Glad everything is safe here in Los Angeles County. Again, they say go ahead and do what you're going to do on your 4th of July plans. If you do have any problems, you can always call 211 and check back in with us, because we have some great folks that you'll want to hear from. Back to you guys.
All right, Jennifer.
Well, she's got the live shot tap dance down when the tape doesn't roll. So
Exactly. Well, we'll check back in with her. Welcome to KTLA. Nice to meet her on air.
Yeah,
that was fun.
Apparently, she's from here. Sounds like she grew up here, and like a lot of people do, they finally end up back home.
And then she was in Pasadena, and of course the big fireworks show there tonight at the Rose Bowl. That's going to be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Kai's going, Kai lives in Pasadena, so yeah, you're going to hear it all night.
Oh, I love that show.
Yeah,
the fireworks show's fantastic.
Hey, did your family feel anything there in Pasadena?
No, nobody felt anything. But, you know, this is a good reminder. It's just like when we look at wildfires, you got to think of safety first.
Yep.
And the Ridgecrest area, we're getting some video coming into the station, and we'll show that, I'm sure, throughout the afternoon, of some homes that unfortunately did catch fire. And a lot of these fires start from gas lines. Glenn, you mentioned that a little bit earlier, and I think it's a good time to find out where your gas line is. Take the kids out there, see how to turn it off. So once we experience an earthquake, any earthquake at all, I think the safest thing to do is get out there, get to that gas line and turn it off. And typically what you need to do is have a wrench, because they're really hard to move because they've been stuck in place over a certain amount of time. And you take that wrench, you can tie it onto the particular gas line area, and you just break it off, use it, and turn it so that it is in the off position. You can always call Southern California Gas. They have a lot of technicians. They'll be happy to come out to your home, show you how to do that. And I highly suggest you do so. I did that with my kids, and so everybody knows exactly where it is. It's just right off of the driveway. You go out there, the wrench is tied to it. You take the wrench off and you turn it in either a counterclockwise or a clockwise position. Then your gas line's off, and you can hopefully get through it safely, because these gas fires happen really rapidly. They're very dangerous, and you can actually just lose your home just because your gas line became exposed. So again, another real good thing to do around your house. And then we were talking about being in the car. I keep a good amount, a couple of pairs of tennis shoes in the back, some towels, blankets. You have, obviously, if you can keep some water in there, but you have to change it because you don't want the water to sit in the plastic for too long. But it is good to sort of have a bottle or two of water. You can put it under a towel or a blanket that you're carrying so it doesn't get hit by the sun for too often. So those are a couple of things that I can think of off the top of my head that are definitely good things to do in preparation for an earthquake. And fortunately, this one, did not do a great deal of damage. As we take a look on the left-hand side of your screen, that video is pretty impressive, though, watching that swimming pool,
really
water
impressive.
in that swimming pool jumping up and down like that.
One thing I always think about too is the papers, the important papers. I need to make copies of those important papers and make a little earthquake file. So instead of having to go through all the files and figure it out, where you can go and get that in case something like this were to happen and it would catch on fire.
Hey, real quick, we're getting an emergency alert from the Kern County Fire Department. They said they're expecting another aftershock or earthquake sometime in the next 15 minutes. That was put out about 8 minutes ago. So sometime in the next 5 or 6 minutes, we may be feeling another aftershock.
And that's amazing, this technology now of being able to detect prior to it happening, an earthquake coming our way. And, Lucy was talking about that. She did not have that turned on in her home. I'm talking about Dr. Lucy Jones, but this is something that we will most likely, as Southern Californians, we'll have on our phones. I hope this becomes an app. You can just download it and you'll have it on your phone, and you can get, an update or a warning system on your phone and in your home to tell you that this is indeed coming your way. But that is the video that we're talking about on the left-hand side of your screen from the Ridgecrest area. And that definitely looks like a home that unfortunately is being compromised because of a gas line that was exposed. And this is something we just do not want to see a lot of as the weeks and months move on. And Dr. Jones was talking about this. We're going through a very unusual time, a very unusual decade where we have not seen a lot of earthquakes, and typically we should be seeing more earthquakes. So this is something she said that should, over the next 7 to 10 years, become more of the norm rather than the abnormal. So again, we all need to prepare. And Lou, you were talking about papers. This is what you do. You get your passports, you get your bank information. You could have some cash on hand also. Medication, very important, but to also have cash on hand because ATM machines most likely will not be working when and if we have a large earthquake in the metropolitan Los Angeles area that reaches Orange County, that reaches Riverside, San Bernardino, the Antelope Valley, all the surrounding areas, Ventura, Santa Barbara County here in Southern California. We'll probably see these systems going down. So you're going to want to have a little bit of cash on hand to buy things at the store locally. And you know, we also want to help our neighbors when something like this happens. You're probably going to have a neighbor that might have damage to their home. They might have to stay with you in your home for a little while. So these are terrible things to think about, but they're most likely going to be necessary things to think about.
A couple things that we are waiting on here. First of all, we're hearing that there are mandatory evacuations for Ridgecrest Hospital. That's according to the fire department out there. Sort of unclear as to why they're doing mandatory evacuations, but that's what we're hearing from the Ridgecrest Hospital. Also, we're waiting for Dr. Lucy Jones, Caltech. She's going to be expecting to speak in about 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes. They said they'd come back at 12:30, so they may have some updates on the news that Glenn had shared with us about this earthquake that they're expecting possibly in the next 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's...
I thought the warnings were like when they knew something was coming like a minute out. I didn't think they could predict an earthquake 15 minutes out.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And you know, this is an evolving technology, it seems to be. And so we're going to have to also listen to Dr. Lucy Jones and these others who are the experts and sort of figure out how this technology is working, the amount of time in terms of warnings that it will be able to give us, whether you're in a metropolitan area or whether you're in a suburban area or whether in your desert communities, your mountain communities. But nonetheless, it's very important to get this technology out there because we're definitely in earthquake country. There's no doubt about that. As you can see on the left-hand side of your screen, that particular liquor store took a hard hit. And this is another portion that we have to deal with is insurance and these claims that are taking place also. I mean, that could be a small mom and pop liquor store and they just lost probably 3/4 of their inventory. So that's terrible for that to happen to those folks as well.
Yeah, basically this is the exact wording from the Kern County Fire Department. Emergency alert, another possible earthquake has been predicted within the next 15 minutes in or near Kern County, and that was at 12:18, so that was 11 minutes ago. Not quite sure how they can predict something like that, but
yeah, that'll be interesting to find out that information when the press conference starts. We are expecting to go to that press conference when it happens. We'll bring it to you live. But first of all, we do have a resident, Wendy from Ridgecrest. Wendy, you had some damage?
Yeah, we had some damage inside where our cabinet doors flew open and stuff came crashing around. So we had piles of glass. Pictures came off the wall. No, doesn't look like any structural damage to the house, which was good.
So it was strong enough. You felt it strong enough for pictures to come off the wall?
Oh, strong. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
We understand.
The sound of the quake was like a jet plane going over, flying low over the house. It was unbelievable.
Wow.
It was, yeah.
And
it jerked and rolled.
Oh, okay. That's the first jerk that we've heard.
Have you seen any structure fires or anything in your area?
I haven't seen any. We've been staying close to home. I live south of town on property, so we're not in the city center.
Okay.
And but I've heard a lot of sirens, like, fire sirens, fire police.
How many?
And we have no power.
How many aftershocks have you felt?
Oh my goodness, there's probably an aftershock every 5 minutes.
And you don't have power either?
Pardon?
You don't have power?
No, no power.
Okay.
Which is not good considering how hot it is.
Yeah, that's yeah. What is the temperature up there today? Is it triple digits?
I don't know what it is right now, but it's been getting into the hundreds.
Okay.
Yeah, it's warm up there right now. They're in the mid to upper 90s, and that's warm.
Yeah, and I have dogs. So I'm worried about my dogs.
Well, do you have enough? You have enough water there and provisions until you can ride this out?
Yes, I have some. Yes, and I also have some friends that live farther outside of town, and they said they have power. They live about 13 miles west, and if it gets bad enough, I can go stay with them, with my dogs.
All right. Well, Wendy, thanks for calling in. Sorry, that's a lot going on there for you. Yeah. We wish you luck, and again, we're also getting that warning that another one may be hitting, which we're still confused how that's being predicted. But just hold on.
Wow, great.
Thanks, Wendy.
All right, thank you.
All right, again, we're expecting a news conference there at Caltech with Lucy Jones. You can see the live shot from there right now. She should be coming up to the podium sometime in the next couple of moments. Might also be dealing with a situation, trying to monitor what we heard may be happening any time now here in Kern County, possibly a pretty serious aftershock. Again, I'm sure she'll be questioned about this. How could somebody tweet something out like that from Kern County Fire? What did they know and how did they find out?
And just to clarify, the seismic map on the right-hand side of your screen, the red circles indicate when we've had an earthquake over the last half of an hour to 35 minutes, and then the yellows that you're seeing, those are over an hour old. So the original 6.4 magnitude earthquake that took place at 10:33, that now is signified as a yellow circle, but you can see all the yellows that surround a lot of the desert communities right now in that particular area. So we're definitely looking at a lot of aftershock activity because we've got more red circles that are popping up within that circumference in that particular area there in the center of your screen. So these temblors continue to move through those high desert areas there, and that 395 is a great artery. It takes you up and down the eastern Sierra, and what we're talking about is going through Lone Pine, Independence, the Barstow area. Finally, you make your way up towards Bishop and Mammoth, and it's a heavily traveled area here in Southern California. A lot of folks like myself use it to go up there and ski. And we're going to listen live as Lucy Jones looks like she's going to start this press conference.
We said we'd come back at 12:30. 12:32, we got pretty close. Let's see, begin with a recap just of what we got.
Yeah, okay, so...
what our names? Lucy Jones with Caltech.
And Rob Graves with the U.S. Geological Survey. So we're just giving an update about this morning's earthquake.
Searles Valley.
Searles Valley earthquake is what we're calling it, magnitude 6.4, up in the area near Ridgecrest. We have some updates in terms of aftershocks. We have a little bit of information about damage, potential damage. We do still have geologists going out in the field, but we haven't gotten word back from them yet. And we also have some updates in terms of the shake alert system. So Lucy, why don't you start in terms of the activity with seismicity?
Okay, so on the aftershocks that we've been recording, so far we have about 30 that are above magnitude 3 and 6 above magnitude 4. Overall, this is a very robust sequence, and on the theory that when you have a lot of earthquakes, you tend to have a lot of earthquakes, we try to estimate the rate of aftershocks from what we're recording. And from that, we have about an 80% chance of at least one magnitude 5, and about a 9% chance that something larger than 6.4 could occur over the next week. That's just saying this is a big sequence, which shouldn't be surprising anybody who's been watching what's been going on for the last 2 hours. We also have locations on some of them, and that's where we were trying to get up this this map here. And It's interesting. It does look like we might be seeing two different faults. Okay. Yeah, if you would do that. So the main shock was actually located in the middle, at that intersection between those two strands, and so we think the main fault was rupturing down towards the southwest, which would have focused the energy towards Ridgecrest. But then there's also a second fault that seems to have been activated going up to the northwest. Again, this area, that's not completely surprising. Look at those little black lines in there. There's a bunch of them. This is an area with a lot of little faults that in a rather complex area moving apart. It does suggest that Ridgecrest was particularly hard hit. We have reports from California Office of Emergency Services that there seem to be a couple of structure fires going on in Ridgecrest, and they're responding to them. There is also a small community called Trona, which is even closer to the ruptures, and it's on a dry lake bed. We do not have any communication with them yet. They would be a place that potentially there's significant damage. As I said, we're seeing at least two faults involved. This area is characterized by robust sequences, so we expect to be seeing a lot of earthquakes today, and some of them could be damaging. Probably at least one more will be damaging.
Kern County just tweeted something that suggested that they were anticipating a quake in 15 minutes. This tweet came out a little while ago.
There is nothing that gives us the time of a particular event. Now, I'm going to tell you, I think there will be a magnitude 5 today. I did that on the day of Northridge, and when it happened, people said, "You predicted the earthquake," and I said, "I predict rain in Kauai too." This is the same situation. When the probabilities are this high, you know, then you can say, yes, there'll probably be a magnitude 5 today, but it's not the time of any particular event. There's nothing. If somebody's giving out a time of a particular event, they're not basing it on science. Okay. That's probably what we've really got about the aftershocks. We said we don't yet have, the geologists haven't yet gotten out, so we don't have a report yet on that.
Actually, you could mention we've seen this kind of conjugate behavior.
Oh, that's true. Well, besides, did you just notice 2 aftershocks showed up? I just saw the 2 extra red dots that showed up here. This type of, yes, conjugate behavior is relatively common. Back in 1987, we had 2 magnitude 6s on conjugate faults. The Landers earthquake with Big Bear. The Big Bear was a little more separated from it, but was the same type of conjugate feature. The way the stress works, if I'm pushing in this way, I can move out here, or I can move out here. And so those essentially perpendicular, we call it conjugate faulting, is a common feature. And we'll just have to see. We're only 2 hours into this sequence. We'll have to see how it develops.
What about the Shake Alert app? Have you gotten any closer to understanding?
Yeah, so I can give an update about that. And there's maybe a little bit of misunderstanding or miscommunication. The system actually worked as designed. So an alert was sent out by the U.S. Geological Survey. The app with the City of LA is set up with various thresholds. The first threshold is a magnitude 5 earthquake or greater in LA County. It will send out an alert. This earthquake was outside of LA County, so it didn't satisfy that condition. The other condition is intensity greater than 4. The intensities in LA were 3 and lower. So the app performed as designed. It's just that the intensity levels were below that threshold that it had been set by the app. So the system actually worked as designed. It's something that we need to look into, though, as to whether maybe that threshold should be lowered or adjusted for future. And just to reiterate, though, there was the level of shaking within the City of LA area was not damaging. So in that sense, the app was worked as designed.
If it had worked as, with the levels set correctly, or
well, they were set
lower. Differently.
Yes.
What would we have seen on the app?
So if, for example, if it had been 3, intensity 3, or then people would have got notification to expect shaking. I don't know the exact wording on the app, but there would have been a significant
45 seconds.
number, 45 seconds before the shaking actually arrived. So the alert would have worked beautifully in that sense. But again, the shaking levels would not have been damaging. Certainly it would have been great, to kind of know ahead of time.
Does it have a sound, or is it just like a text? What is it?
I'm actually not sure.
The threshold is set high enough, it's never gone off on my computer, on my phone, so I'm not completely sure. I think they may be using something, well, they were going to be using a chiming alert that's used in Japan, but there was some, I'm not sure which one they ended up using.
Yeah.
And
So
I'm guessing the issue to not lower the levels is simply because you don't want to start getting so many alerts that people don't pay attention when they get them.
right, and this is something that's actually been studied.
Explain that. So people didn't do that question.
Okay, so just to repeat, the question was, the reason why potentially that the alert level isn't set lower is so that you don't have a large number of alerts with minimal shaking. And that is correct, and this is a subjective judgment. And so in designing the app, you have to make a decision on that. There's actually been a fair amount of research looking into this in other places like Japan and Mexico, and there's some sense that people don't mind getting an alert even if the shaking is not that severe, and which would have been the case here if it had been set to intensity 3. So this is something that maybe we need to, again, maybe needs to be looked at, tweaked on the system. Yes.
No, sorry. To clarify, because there had been some talk about 2 earthquakes today, so if you could just run through that.
There have been hundreds of earthquakes today. For a while, the website showed 2 magnitude 6.4s. So the way the system works is there's a lot of us recording earthquakes around the world, especially, and we have a system that if somebody else puts up an alert, and there's always the chance that the Great Pasadena earthquake means that we aren't giving out anything, so you want to have somebody else be able to say it if we're not here, and so there's a system to try and negotiate that. There was a warning, we think it was from the Tsunami Warning Center actually, and the timing, usually the system can recognize they're the same earthquake. If one of the systems gets the time a little off, then they look like different earthquakes, and the automatic system allows it to go in. So for a short time, there were 2 alerts, one from us, one from the Tsunami Warning Center, and when we recognized that it was there, we went in and cleaned it up.
Yeah.
That was not getting rid of an earthquake. By the way, I've heard the conspiracy theorists about that. It's just that we cleaned it up.
Right, and just to clarify, additionally, we had been just talking about 2 faults and so forth. That's still the case. That's not this two earthquake issue.
Does the second fault have a name? We got Little Lake.
We're not until we get a geologist on the ground.
Yeah.
Occasionally there are reports about faults that we do not know about.
We know a lot of faults in this area. I mean, just if you look again at the picture, somehow which just disappeared on us. If we could maybe just reload the page, I would guess. But look up in that area, there's lots of little marks on it's one of the areas with a dense distribution of mapped faults. So before I'm going to talk about an unknown fault, I need a geologist to say, how does this line up with the ones we know about?
Is it relevant that there are...
Not to us. People, I think it's a psychological issue. If it's an unknown fault, my God, then we didn't know, and makes it scarier. The reality is we have a lot of little faults that never get names because they're too small until you get an earthquake.
Yeah, we've lost our earthquakes.
Was this one particularly strong for that area?
This earthquake is the largest in the Little Lake area in the last century. But in general, the Owens Valley, the sort of geologic structures up there, have had a lot of earthquakes like this. There was actually a 7.5 in 1872 that ran through, it was usually called the Independence earthquake, or sometimes just the Owens Valley earthquake. Mammoth historically has had dozens of magnitude 6s. So as a geologist, I'll say that area, largest earthquake in 100 years. Does that make it unusual? No. From geology, we really need to know, we need to look at millennia to say what's standard.
Once geologists are there, how long does it take for them to gather information?
Well, hold on. We're waiting for the picture to show up. I mean, they'll take a picture and send it to us and go, look, there's the fault offset.
Yeah.
There's one level at which it's simple. The geologists, presuming there are fault offsets, will probably be mapping it in detail over the next month.
Are they in trucks or helicopters?
We've been listening to Dr. Lucy Jones discussing the earthquake that struck at 10:38 this morning in Ridgecrest, and we actually have a resident there named Ed. Actually, he's in Trona. Trona. He's in Trona, and Ed, you actually have heavy damage.
Yeah, everything fell off the walls. The refrigerator door opened, the food fell out of the refrigerator. The cupboards opened up, glasses fell out, plates, everything fell off the walls. TV fell over, all kinds of stuff.
What about the
big mess?
I know you live in a small town. There's about 1,900 residents there. Any other of your neighbors experienced anything like you that you know of?
Oh, I'm sure they did. Everybody probably did. I just haven't really talked to them. We're just trying to handle our own mess, clean it up. It's a big cleanup mess.
This morning, 10:38, what were you doing?
Just watching TV, that's all. And then it started happening, the earthquake. So we went outside.
How long did it feel like it lasted?
It lasted for a while, I'd say at least 2-3 minutes.
Oh.
Wow.
And then an aftershock after that. And then an aftershock. Then it quit for a minute. And then more aftershocks. We just had one a few minutes ago, another aftershock.
Any of them feel as strong as the actual earthquake, the initial earthquake?
The second one was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And none of the other ones have been strong, but they've been pretty good. Not as strong as the first one.
Ed, is this your first earthquake?
Oh, no, I've been through quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ed, we're talking about your area, Trona. You guys are on a dry lake bed. Do you think that made a difference in how that earthquake struck your area?
Well, it's kind of like it's the bottom of the ocean. Okay, there's still water out on the lake, and they pump chemicals out to make chemicals in the factory. But it's kind of like hollow underneath a lot of the parts in Trona, so it kind of probably cushioned it maybe a little bit. It's like it used to be a water table pretty much everywhere, but it's pretty much just gone down to where the lake is now. So there's probably like caverns and stuff underneath.
Yeah.
Maybe they might break through. They might not. I don't know. We'll see. See what happens.
Do you still have electricity?
Oh no, our juice went out as soon as the earthquake. It went out.
Wow.
All right. Yeah. Do you also have a gas line?
Yeah, I got a gas line. I checked the gas line. I shut it off.
Good.
That's what you're supposed to do for C.
Yeah. Now, Ed, now that you've experienced this, do you have any sort of regrets? You wish you had done a couple of things that we, as viewers and listening to you, should do if this happens to anybody else?
If you put stuff on your shelves, put a little ridge across so things don't fall off when you have an earthquake. I had a few shelves like that. We just had another little aftershock right now.
Oh, just now?
And everything fell off the shelves. Everything did.
Yeah. Well,
big pile of glass, ceramic, all kinds of stuff like that.
Yeah, but you guys, you're safe though. You don't have any cuts, any bruises.
Oh, no, we're fine. We're fine.
Good. That's great.
And you just said you had another aftershock. You just felt it as you were talking to us.
Yeah, just a little one, a little teeny one. We've been having them all ever since that. We've been having them. It hasn't really quit.
Well, Dr. Lucy Jones said that there's a 1 in 20 chance that a bigger earthquake could hit. It's still only a 1 in 20 chance, but that is definitely a possibility.
Yeah, I'm sure it will.
So is the
our stove fell over too.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so you guys got hit hard.
What about the actual structure of your house? Is everything okay as far as that you can tell?
It's pretty intact. It looks pretty good. Yeah, as far as everything I've been checking, it seems to be okay.
So nothing that can't be replaced?
No, everything's fine as far as the house goes.
Well, at least you guys are safe.
Very dangerous.
Yeah, we're all safe.
Oh, that's the best news of all.
An experience, though.
Yeah, for sure.
It was horrible.
Yeah, it's a.
I thought, what? Oh no, an earthquake. That's what it is, man. Everything just started falling over everywhere.
Is that your?
We went outside.
Is that your child with you there, Ed?
Yeah, it's my little granddaughter, Serene.
How old is she?
She's 8.
Oh, does she want? Can you ask? Can we talk to her?
Here you go. Let me talk to you.
Hi.
Hey there. What's your name?
Serene.
Serene. Hi, this is Kai, Glenn, and Lou. So, Serene, was it scary to go through this experience, to be in an earthquake?
Yes, it was terrifying. And everything was falling off the shelves, all my movies.
Oh, no.
Wow. And
The TV fell over, everything, our flat screen in the living room.
oh my goodness. And did you run to your grandfather, or did he run to you? How did you guys stay safe?
I ran in the room and I was like, what is this?
Was it your first earthquake?
No.
Oh, okay. So you're a little familiar with it. But it may be the biggest one that you've ever felt?
Yep.
Wow. Well, we're glad that you guys are all safe and that your movies aren't broken, right? Good.
That's all that counts.
All right.
All right. Well, tell your grandpa thank you for talking with us. We're glad you guys are safe, and hopefully you'll get your electricity back soon. We appreciate it.
And take care of that grandfather.
Yes.
All right, let's go back to Lucy Jones. The news conference continues in Pasadena.
Naval Weapons Station, and you've been saying damage is probably highest in the Ridgecrest and Trona Lake area. Are you hearing of any damage at that Naval Weapons Station?
Remember, damage does not get reported to us.
Right.
We had a phone call with OES, who the only thing they told us was about structure fires in Ridgecrest.
Okay, and I heard about a water main break in San Bernardino. Any idea if that's related?
That's pathetic. It could be. It improbable, but it must have. If it did, it was already in bad shape.
Yeah, well, San Bernardino, it's old. No. Yeah? No.
Yeah.
Same here.
See you
No,
2
right.
o'clock. Okay, so 2 o'clock.
Thank you so much.
The Spanish speaker, please.
Okay, Joanne.
Yeah, they took it over there, but you know,
Okay.
as a courtesy, it's better to have her.
Yeah,
Okay,
let's move
maybe-
those of us out who aren't
Thank you,
Spanish.
guys. Much appreciated.
Okay, sure.
Yes, I believe so, but where did you go?
Yeah, she's in the back.
All right, you can see there that press conference with Dr. Lucy Jones has wrapped up. It's the second press conference that they have held today, just talking about the earthquake from this morning, also mentioning that hundreds of small earthquakes have happened throughout the day, and also just the aftershocks. We just spoke with a resident from Trona, Ed, and his granddaughter. Sounds like they got some of the heaviest damage. His flat screen fell off, not the wall, but it was up on a dresser. And then this video out of Trona as well. This is a fresh image coming to us where a freeway or a highway there, unclear as to
Well, Highway 178 runs through
yeah,
there. That's
I
really
mean,
the
look
main-
at that crack. That's big.
Yeah.
And
Hey.
that's dangerous.
Yes.
If you're driving along there and you don't see that, that could definitely take out the underside of your car or pop at least a couple of your tires. And that's going to, Caltrans is going to have to check out a lot of these highways and roads in that particular area and get those repaired, because again, that's not only dangerous, but that's scary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
they'd actually said the road was pretty clear, so that's really the only damage that we've seen. If that is the only damage, then they're pretty lucky.
but if you think of, when earthquakes hit, when they roll and there's not a lot of damage, and you see this kind of stuff from liquor stores, but when you see asphalt on a highway split, I mean, that's some major force.
Power.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. All right, Christina Pascucci has been monitoring the press conferences. She's down at Caltech, and you just heard the press conference wrap up there. Any additional information for us, Christina?
Yeah, hi. Well, good afternoon to you both. First of all, the chances of another earthquake happening, those chances have gone up. Per Lucy Jones, who just spoke, she said the chance of magnitude 6.4 or greater is now more than 9% in the next week. And she said that the chance of having a magnitude 5.0 or greater is now 80%. So certainly something they're watching out for. They said there will be at least one other earthquake that could have the potential to cause significant damage. And I want to give you a live look at this map because, just seeing all that data come in, it's so interesting and fascinating to watch. Just dozens and dozens of aftershocks, and hundreds are expected. So certainly something that emergency crews are responding to. We were talking about this small town of Trona, which is one of the closest cities to the epicenter of this quake, and significant damage could be possible there, according to Lucy Jones as well. We're seeing some of our first images from news sites in the area, and also hearing of structure fires in Ridgecrest. So, I mean, it's a very sparsely populated area, hard to reach, and so as geologists are responding and trying to get more information, we are waiting for that eagerly as well, just to know the extent of what exactly is going on. And I believe we have a soundbite to share with you too. Another thing that's really come up is the shake alert system. A lot of people have the app, and there are seismometers placed all throughout Southern California to, analyze when we first feel these waves. And a lot of people didn't get any sort of notification. So the big question was why? And they were saying, well, it has to hit a certain threshold of shaking for people in LA County to feel or to get that notification. So we're waiting to get more information on that as well. We're going to have additional details for you guys, but also learning during that news conference a short time ago that there may be multiple fault lines involved. So it's early on. They're looking at that as a possibility, and it's very crammed in here, as you can see. There's just so many reporters waiting to get the data they're collecting in this lab right on the other side of this glass where we are here at Caltech. You guys collecting more information. We're going to have more for you coming up in a short period here, but for now, Lou and Glenn, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Christina Pascucci in Pasadena, we thank you for that. Just to clear up Trona, we were wondering about the mileage. It's actually about 24.3 miles from Ridgecrest up Highway 178. And initial reports said the highway was okay, but then we saw that one crack, so there's a possibility there could be more. And of course, this is video of a fire of one of the structures in Ridgecrest. They've had to respond to a couple of dozen incidents, either medical emergencies or structure fires like this.
Well, the earthquake happened about 2.5 hours ago. So it took crews probably a little bit to get out there and start assessing the roads and finding that. And interesting what Christina was saying, that Dr. Lucy Jones had mentioned that the probability has now gone up. 9% chance that there will be an earthquake of 6.4 or larger in the next week. And just those numbers, 9% doesn't sound a lot, but still 6.4 strong. And there's also saying, I can't remember the exact percentage that she said, but for sure, possibly a 5.0. Dr. Lucy said that. She can't predict it, but she's saying that there's a highly large chance that that will happen.
Yeah. And again, as far as mileage from Los Angeles, this the epicenter, what we're being told, is 125 miles north of Los Angeles, 90 miles northeast of Bakersfield. And from what we can see so far, mostly in a sparsely populated area. Of course, Kern County doesn't have nearly the number of residents that Los Angeles County has, but there is some damage. Reports are slowly coming in. We've seen the structure fire in Ridgecrest. We've seen the crack in the Highway 178, and we also had the resident of that town give us a call from Trona. Yeah. And he lost his flat screen TV and a lot of stuff falling off the shelves.
Yeah, and an oven, and how heavy ovens can be. Yeah, definitely. And I'm just reading a tweet from the LA County Fire Department, the mutual aid there in the Kern County area. They're sending their urban search and rescue, their task force 136. They're en route to the Ridgecrest and Trona areas right now to assist in earthquake recovery efforts because, again, those communities, they're pretty isolated. So help is definitely on the way for those folks, which is good.
All right, by the way, this is Sky 5 up in Ridgecrest now. And like we said, we've heard of some structure fires. We've seen the video from the ground of the one. But from what we can see right now, things are looking pretty calm. Mark Kono, can you hear us? Well, apparently we're not. Okay, he can't talk. He's not in contact with us at this point. But as you can see, this town is, kind of a tight little community, and once you get outside of town, it's sparsely populated to say the least. So probably some large ranch and farming properties, but there is the typical grid you see in a town, and from this vantage point, it doesn't really look like there's a lot going on. It looks pretty calm at this point.
Yeah, well, and they also had mentioned it out in Kern County, the fire officials did ultimately evacuate Ridgeview Hospital. So it's really interesting. Or Ridgecrest, it says Ridgeview here on one site, but I'm assuming that it's Ridgecrest Hospital. Maybe it's Ridgeview in Ridgecrest. So unclear as to why they evacuated, but as Dr. Lucy Jones said, there will be more aftershocks, possibly another earthquake, so they may be just doing that as a precautionary reason.
Yeah, and another tweet coming from San Bernardino County Fire. They're continuing to survey the northwestern communities there in that county. They're reporting that multiple buildings have minor cracks. There's broken water mains. There's many power lines that are down. There's also being reports of rock slides on certain roads, but the good news is they're reporting that no injuries and they're not seeing any fires taking place right now, and there's more heavy rescue agencies that are moving into that area.
Yeah, that's a vast area, you know, along Interstate 40. If you ever drive to Arizona in that direction,
yeah, it's a lot of space out there.
A lot of wide open spaces out there, but you know, there are some of the freeway exits where there's gas stations, and there are some very small communities out there that are pretty isolated.
We saw in Northridge when that earthquake happened, remember the whole freeway collapsed where the police officer, the motorcycle officer was killed, and it can happen so quickly, and especially if it's happening at nighttime too, you're definitely not going to see it. And if you're traveling on that 2-lane road out there, you're going fast, you know, you don't see that coming up at all.
Yeah, it's a lot different being up in the high deserts.
All right, let's go up to Mark Kono in Sky 5. He can now hear us.
With the camera. This is basically the line. That Walmart, that east-west, where the Walmart is basically the line.
Okay, Mark, can you hear us now? Mark Kono?
Yes.
What are you seeing there in Ridgecrest? Anything?
Yeah, here we go, guys. We are 5,000 feet over Ridgecrest to maintain the signal here, and this is our first look into the town of Ridgecrest. And for the most part, from our altitude here, it's hard to discern any visible damage here. We do want to come down China Lake Boulevard, and that's kind of what we're looking at right now. We're going to come down China Lake Boulevard down towards the elbow, just south of Upjohn here, and that's going to be the Walmart that we've been talking about here. The Walmart just on the right side of the screen here, unfortunately, we understand did sustain some sort of damage, some sort of widespread damage, potentially inside of the store itself. So you can see that the store is essentially evacuated at this point here. No customers inside the store, and that is the Walmart. Again, right near the intersection of China Lake Boulevard, just one major south of Upjohn Street here in Ridgecrest. Now, just kind of scanning around the neighborhood here, we understand that there were some scattered fires here and about from some sheared gas lines, and that was creating some fires in the neighborhood here. We haven't spotted anything really noticeable at this point, and that is certainly some good news here, thanks to the efforts of the firefighting community here, as well as other first responders. We also understand that the hospital may have been evacuated here. That's kind of what we're trying to scan around to find out about at this point here. But from our perspective, again, 5,000 feet over Ridgecrest, we are having a look to see if there's any real discernible damage here, if there are any crowds of people here who have evacuated from some areas here. And it looks like we may have some sort of a smaller facility here, possibly a hospital over here on the left side of the screen. And again, that is going to be right on the side of China Lake Boulevard here. And it does look like there are some responders out there and perhaps some people out front. I don't know if this is an evacuation type setup here at this point, but again, we're going to scan around to show you what we can see here. In the meantime, though, for the most part, from what we understood before, there were a few fires that were scattered about the neighborhood here, and it appears that most, if not all of those, have essentially been extinguished, and that is certainly some good news. If we spot anything more, we will certainly bring that to you from Sky 5 HD. Guys, that is an update from over Ridgecrest. Let me send it back down to you.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. It did look like there was that one building with a parking lot where I could see a fire truck in there, and that likely was probably the hospital.
Yeah, there was a couple of rigs there and some probably local police, and then a few other people milling around.
Gosh, if you live out there, do you still have the July 4th barbecue?
Sure.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, yeah, let's have the barbecue, yeah, but what else are you going to do? Just sit on the couch and hold on? You know, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen, right?
Well, the good news is as we look at these, we're not seeing any fires. We're not seeing any damage as of yet. We're not seeing anything that should be of great concern, especially, again, we've seen tweets from the San Bernardino County Fire that they're not seeing any a great deal of damage taking place. A few cracks in some buildings, but nothing major at this point.
One thing that when we talked to the resident in Trona, Ed, he had mentioned, you asked him about his gas line.
Yeah.
And he was smart. He knew about it. He went and turned it off. He doesn't have electricity, but he knows to go and turn that off. I didn't realize that, so it's something I learned today.
Yeah.
Not even sure if I know where my gas is.
And that's a good thing. Again, these are all things that we want to do in preparation. We want, if what you don't know, now you do know.
I do have all that other prep stuff done, but I don't know where the gas thing is.
Well,
so I guess I'll find that out.
You'll find out.
You know where your hot water heater is?
Yes.
It's probably heated by gas.
Yeah.
So that's a good place to start.
Okay.
Find the line.
I know where that is.
If you have a,
I just need to mark it.
if you have a gas-powered grill outside on a patio,
I do not.
that's something else you need to check out.
Remember, I'm vegan. I don't grill.
What? You don't even grill vegetables?
I know, come on.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think
the neighbor.
I know you, Lou. Somebody grills them for you.
we don't want to give out too much
Yeah.
info about Lou. Remember, we're live. So there again is that particular area where you're seeing again a lot of CHP. There's a few fire trucks out there and some local, looks like some first responders sort of discussing what might be going on in that area right now.
Well, even here we were talking about LA Fire Department. They dispatched 106 of their stations. All their crews were going out to just do overall surveys, damage surveys, just to make sure everyone's okay. But they're on high alert. 4th of July for firefighters and police. Especially firefighters, and because ambulances are connected to that as well. You know, people are drinking today. There's accidents of firecrackers and fireworks and stress-related and DUI. So this is a big day for law enforcement and fire departments. And then to add on top of that, the possibilities of these earthquakes and the damage and also the anxiety that it brings some residents as well. It's going to be a big day for them.
Yeah, indeed. And you also, a lot of fire departments, lifeguards, a lot of these kinds of first responders, they typically get together. They're big families also.
Yes.
And they celebrate the 4th of July together, whether that's at the beach, whether it's in the deserts or the mountains, everybody's sort of huddled up together celebrating Independence Day.
All right. Let's get an update of what's going on in Pasadena from Jennifer McGraw. First day on the job, and she's dealing with an earthquake. Welcome home.
I'm telling you, thank you so much. Really shaking things up here this 4th of July. And people have really great spirits because they kind of only felt the roll of the earthquake. They didn't feel it from the epicenter up to our north. But they had some funny encounters, especially from someone who felt their first one. Let's listen in. Did you feel it, and what happened?
Well, I just felt so, I thought it was like shaking, right? And it was I thought I was getting dizzy. That was the earthquake, and I felt it.
Did you run out of the shower? What did you do?
I just stood there. It was like nowhere to run.
You hang on to something. Yeah, I was hanging on to the counter where I was at and talking to the sales lady. She said, "Oh wow, there's an earthquake," and we were all looking around at the dresses rocking back and forth.
We were just standing still, just scared, you know. But it came out all right. Nobody else do it in the hotel. They don't pay much attention to it, you know. Didn't seem to.
Those weird Californians.
Yeah, they're used to it, I guess.
Is this your first earthquake?
Yes, that I know of.
All the way from Texas. Can you imagine getting stuck in the shower? What do you do? Well, you just hang on, I guess, and he obviously was okay. Again, if you have any reports of damage, which we haven't had any here in Los Angeles County, you can always call 211. Unfortunately, now we're getting more information up to our north about some maybe possible damage, but again, we aren't hearing that right now, but we may still feel some tremors, and that's what's interesting about this, that they say that there could be aftershocks in through the evening and possibly tomorrow, so hang on. And one lady told me, just get under a desk and hang on if you feel it coming your way.
We do have a big desk here, Jennifer. That's the good news. Unfortunately, that has actually happened before here, an earthquake with
That right,
Chris and Megan.
Chris Schaubel.
It's so funny that guy was like, she asked him if it was his first earthquake. Well, the first earthquake that I know of. I mean, it's probably really terrifying in a weird way, or maybe fun for some people that are visiting from Texas or different parts of the country out here with family to feel an earthquake. You know, we're somewhat used to it, if you ever can really get used to it. But if you've never experienced it, it's a little weird.
I remember my first one in 1990. I was living in Marina Del Rey, and I was asleep early in the morning. Earthquake hit, kind of woke me up, and I went.
I remember that.
And I didn't even open my eyes. I just went, oh, that's what an earthquake feels
Yeah.
like. I just rolled over and went back to sleep.
Wow.
That was at around 4 a.m. too, and that was a big one. Big one indeed.
All right, well, this earthquake, 6.4 magnitude, probably not the last of any shaking that we're going to feel here in Southern California, not necessarily in Los Angeles County or the city here, but definitely in Kern, San Bernardino counties. A lot of folks there expecting to have to deal with a lot today. Not only these aftershocks, but also as we've spoken with 2 or 3 residents, they don't have electricity, and it's hot out there.
Yeah, the deserts are warm. You know, we're really lucky though, because it's not that hot, to be honest with you. We're looking at some 90s, low 90s up in the deserts, and typically at this time of year here in July 4th, they're used to triple digits, 110, sometimes 115, so we're not seeing that. But it's warm, and it does help, especially with the kids or the elderly, to have a little bit of air conditioning running, or a swamp cooler, which is typical for those particular areas. And you can't do that if you don't have juice, like they've been saying to us. So hopefully the residents that don't have any electricity will get that back pretty soon. So we'll continue to take a look at that. But again, that 6.4, we originally thought it was at about 6.6. Now confirmed at a 6.4 magnitude quake near the Cirrus Valley area. And you can see on the right-hand side of your screen the seismic activity counter that we use here in the weather department. That was about 11 miles east-northeast of the Ridgecrest area, and it struck at 10:33 this morning.
All right, let's go back out to Pasadena and Christina Pascucci.
Hi guys, good afternoon. I just got off the phone with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, and they told me that there is a 12-inch crack on Highway 178. It is still passable by cars, but we just want to give you an update on that. They're also monitoring all the other roads, trying to see the damage. There's that small town Trona we've been telling you about, Ridgecrest. Those are really some of the areas of biggest concern. And I want to bring in Dr. Susan Huff, who is a seismologist with Caltech. Thank you for being with us. What can you tell us about the monitors we're seeing here? Let's start here on the left with the big one.
So these are some of the seismometers that we have throughout the state. There's many hundreds, but these show us what the ground is recording, what these stations are recording, essentially as they happen. Some people might remember the old paper drums that we used to have. Those are long gone. Now we have computers. But you can actually see this very red
pronounced
signal that it would have been recorded on scale on the instruments that we have. On this particular instrument, it was just blown off scale because it was that strong.
And all these blue lines are the aftershocks. There's been dozens, 50.
Yeah, it's really impressive. You can see how energetic the aftershock sequence is very quickly. It's hard to even see one line, so it makes one trace in 15 minutes, and then it makes the next trace. And every separate burst is a separate aftershock, and they're sizable earthquakes.
And I believe we videoed to show viewers a pool camera and the water shaking out of the pool, and that was in the valley, so a good distance away from the epicenter, and people reporting feeling this all over Los Angeles. Can you talk about that rolling feeling people had? And Dr. Lucy Jones was saying how because she felt that rolling motion for about 10 seconds, she knew it was far away.
Yes, so if you feel an earthquake that's nearby, you're going to feel a very strong jolt. And you can think in terms of music. If earthquakes release energy shaking with a range of tones in music analogies. So if you're far away, the high tones that would be really jittery get damped out, and what you get is the booming bass tones that roll back and forth. So when people say it's a roller, that almost always means it's a bigger earthquake far away.
And you guys were talking about how there were possibly 2 fault lines involved in this earthquake. That's newer news. Andre, let's show them the earthquake map over there. You see all the earthquakes just in the past week alone, and then the bigger squares are the bigger sizes. Can you tell us what we're learning about this earthquake in terms of the 2 fault lines?
Yeah, well, a magnitude 6.4 is a significant earthquake. They're not uncommon, but they don't happen every day. So it's of interest scientifically. This one appears to have been 2 separate fault breaks, which isn't uncommon also. The Big Bear aftershock in 1992 was a similar event that involved 2 separate faults. So that's something that we're going to be interested to look at and understand better.
Thank you so much for your time. We really appreciate it. It's fascinating work you do. You guys, this is being reported as the biggest earthquake to hit the region in 20 years, so it is significant. Dr. Lucy Jones was saying how it has been pretty sleepy in the region recently, and they just started seeing a little bit more activity. There was a foreshock of bigger than a magnitude 4.0 half an hour before this one hit. Now, in terms of the shake alert system, that is something that has been coming up because people who had the app say they were not able to feel it. The system itself worked, and people in LA County would have had a warning 48 seconds before the earthquake was felt in their area, but people with the app said they didn't feel it, so we asked that during the news conference here at Caltech a short time ago, and listen to what they told us.
The system actually worked as designed. So an alert was sent out by the U.S. Geological Survey. The app with the City of LA is set up with various thresholds. The first threshold is a magnitude 5 earthquake or greater in LA County. It will send out an alert. This earthquake was outside of LA County, so the app performed as designed. It's just that the intensity levels were below that threshold that it had been set by the app.
And now back here live, I want to give you a look at something. I just talked to San Bernardino County Sheriffs again, got a text from them, and want to show you this image because it's pretty stunning to see. This has been confirmed as Highway 178, not too far from Trona Road in that area I was telling you about that Dr. Lucy Jones said there was potential for major damage. So the Sheriff's Department is confirming that that is in fact from that region. So we're going to continue to cover this. The damage assessment really just beginning because it's such a hard area to get to. It's far away, and geologists going there too to see if there is any sort of rupture to the ground. A lot to cover here, guys, but Glenn and Lou, for now, I will send it back to you.
Christina, I would love for you to find out. I know we've been reporting this morning that it's been exactly 20 years. This is the largest earthquake to hit since 1999. I'd love to find out what date that earthquake was in 1999, if it's anywhere close to July 4th. You're probably closest to that
information. I believe
information.
it was in October, but let me confirm. Yeah. Our anchor Lou, she's asking if you know the exact date of the earthquake that hit that region. It was large 20 years ago. I think it was in October.
It was 1999. It was October, I want to say 17th or 18th, but I'm not completely sure about that.
Okay.
But definitely October, yes.
Yeah. Any other information that you think is significant surrounding this quake that we should share with our viewers? I know the probability of another has gone up.
Right, this is an energetic aftershock sequence, so people may remember hearing there's a 1 in 20 chance of a big earthquake, another bigger earthquake after an earthquake in California. Because there's a lot of aftershocks, that number's actually somewhat higher. Fortunately, it's all still in a remote area, so that's a really good thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, thank you again. Appreciate your time and your insight. Glenn and Lou.
All right, thank you, Christina. Appreciate it. What did she say, Glenn?
An energetic aftershock sequence?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Maybe.
Ugh.
Unless you're where they're happening.
No, I'm saying it's so cool that just the terminology that they have there and the knowledge that they have there at Caltech.
It's also interesting to listen to Dr. Jones when we ask her certain questions. She's so nice about it. She's like, okay, you guys don't know anything, but here's what really is going on. Yeah, it's interesting. They know exactly what they're doing. They know their stuff.
Everybody has their specialty.
Yes.
You know, it's like going to a mechanic.
Yep.
He knows your engine much better than you do.
But you know what I like about her? You can truly see that she loves what she does.
Absolutely.
She's very knowledgeable about it and is great with us sharing the information with the media.
She's very patient, that's for sure.
Another person who's very good at what he does, Mark Mester in Huntington Beach at a parade, talking to folks not about July 4th, but about earthquakes.
Yeah, I think this will be a July 4th. A lot of folks never forget. We're here hearing from folks all the way from Scotland. We'll hear from them in just a second. But let's talk with some of these folks. Did you feel the shaking just a few hours ago?
Yeah.
What was it like?
It was just crazy. Like, I didn't know what was happening.
Were you standing in the parade line?
Yeah.
And it felt like someone was pushing you?
A little, yeah.
All right, now that you know what happens, do you think you would have reacted differently maybe next time if you know what the shaking is, if at least similar to that experience?
Probably a little differently.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your name, little girl?
Emily.
Emily, where are you from?
Yeah.
Okay, it's okay, it happens. So tell everyone at home, there was some shaking about an hour and a half ago. Tell everyone what it was like.
It felt weird. It was like crazy. I was so confused. It was confusing. I don't know what was happening.
Well, you've already survived your first earthquake. Do you think you're ready for the next one?
No.
Okay. I think most people might answer that question the same way, so thank you for that. Who else felt it? Who else felt the shaking? Who else felt it? You did. Okay, what'd you feel?
I felt like a little bit of shaking. I mean, I've only experienced it one time, like a long time ago, but it was super kind of cool to experience because I'm from Arizona and we never get any of it. So it was just like kind of crazy and I was a little spooked, so yeah.
Where exactly were you?
I was kind of like, I was driving towards the parade a little bit, but I felt it and I thought it was like weather maybe, but I didn't know, so.
Next time around, you'll probably know what the feeling is.
Yes, I will, yeah.
All right, what about you? Did you feel it?
Yeah, I felt it. We're unloading our bikes to come down here and it's like, whoa, Mother Earth, you're celebrating 4th of July.
She's just letting us know, shaking, yeah.
We're here to stay. Southern California.
As promised, some folks from Scotland.
Hi there, yes.
Quite the rude awakening, right?
It was. I was in the shower. And
Wait, with the shower?
I was in the shower.
Okay.
And I thought that the whole house was moving. So I had to run about in the shower to get wet because I'm quite slim. And I thought, this is an incredible thing. And my wife was lying in bed and she got moving about. The lights and the lamps were moving. It was incredible. The kids, what happened to you?
So you're visiting America for the first time, I'm presuming? And we're greeting you with an earthquake. What's that like?
Cool.
That's cool. When you go home, are you going to tell everyone about the 4th of July parade or the earthquake?
Both.
Probably both. Okay. Is it a nice welcome to America for you?
Yeah, it's great. I'm really enjoying it.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Folks from Scotland feeling their first earthquake. Anyone else? Anyone else? Oh, you're right there. What do you got? What'd you feel?
We was on the stadium up at Lake Park, and the stand started to shake.
Make you nervous?
A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Glad it's over?
Yeah.
Would you do anything differently next time?
No, I don't think so.
Want to be up the time.
Yeah.
What'd you feel?
I'm from Skowhegan, Maine.
Oh, from Maine. All right.
Yes.
Well, thank you. What about you, sir?
Nice rolling little shake, real mild. I was sitting watching the news, Channel 5 News. My girlfriend didn't even feel it. I was in Corona watching it, and earthquake hit.
Any damage? Any pictures on the ground? Anything broken?
Nothing, just real mild roll.
All right. You guys gonna enjoy your 4th of July now? All right, the folks here ready for the fireworks. They're going to happen at 9 o'clock tonight on the pier, and we're going to stand by and speak to folks as more information continues to come into our newsroom. I'm Mark Mester, live in Huntington Beach. Glenn and Lou sending it back to you.
Mark, it was nice of you to autograph that picture for that lady from Maine. All the way from Maine, yeah.
Hey, I want one of those, Mark.
Got fans all over now. You know what I also learned out of those...
That's awesome.
You know what I also learned out of those interviews? Canadians and Scots both say a boot the same way.
A boot.
A boot.
If we could just let them keep talking, that
Those
would
Scottish
be good.
accents.
Yeah, it's so incredible.
It's great.
It's great. Well, also one of our colleagues too, Narissa Knight, had damage at her house as well. She's in Santa Clarita. Had some glass on the ground and or on the floor from her. I guess she had mirrors on
this big mirrored wall by her stairway, and
Yep.
just glass all
shattered. I think most of the damage that we're seeing, a lot of that from our viewers were from Trona. Ironically, it's like
Yeah, you know, Ridgecrest and Trona, they were the closest communities to the epicenter of this earthquake.
that one woman said it sounded like a jet plane flying over her house.
And then Ed from Trona was saying how he felt it lasted 2 to possibly 3 minutes long, and that's a long amount of time to sit there. And they were, you know, they did the right thing. They got out of their house. He went and turned the gas line off and got his granddaughter out of there, and that was a smart thing to do. And that's an example of what we all need to be wary of and do if and when this happens to us.
Well, of course, when something like this happens, social media pretty much explodes with information, pictures, and images of what happened. And let's go to Corrine Winter in the newsroom. She's got a new batch of some of the social media posts.
And Glenn, I'm sure you'll agree, you know, some of this video that we've been seeing for quite some time right now, but it's still remarkable. Every time you see it, it gives you an idea of just how powerful this earthquake was. And after the shock settled in, that this was an actual earthquake, well, many viewers, they grabbed their phones, they wanted to capture what was going on, like what you're seeing in this video. So keep in mind, it was probably a lot stronger than what you're seeing there. But that video, it captured a business that was in Ridgecrest, a chiropractic office, and you could see items falling off the shelves. This is another location. A grocery store, so many items in the aisle, a lot of broken bottles, and you're just wondering how many customers may have been inside that store at the time. Hopefully no one was injured at this time, but again, it's even businesses that weren't directly near where the impacted site or the epicenter, they were devastated. It was impacted just like that. And people, when you see video like this with backyard pools, you're wondering how many people were getting ready to start their 4th of July celebrations, right? And then this happens and you see all that water splashing everywhere. And I think what's coming up next, you can actually see some residents' reaction. You just heard them there in that clip. And so a lot of people absolutely caught off guard with what was going on here. But we'll continue to monitor all this, and we're encouraging viewers, thank you so much for those who reached out, sent in videos capturing what happened several hours ago.
Yeah,
we will
you feel
continue
that?
to
You see
play
the
it
pool?
and continue to show just some of the dramatic scenes, and many of us felt it. We were in Compton at the time, and I can tell you, being in the news van, we were prepping for another story, and I literally, Glenn and Lou, got out of the news van. I thought someone was shaking the van, and I said, this is a serious story. We're at a crime scene. Who could possibly be doing that? I looked at the row of photographers. I said, certainly not my photographer. I literally went to the back of the news van. There was no one there. I got back in the truck, started continuing my research, and it was shaking again. And I said, what is going on? Is it the wind? And of course, our cell phones started to light up with the fact that this was an earthquake. So it impacted all of us. You didn't have to be anywhere near where this took place, where the epicenter was. And a lot of people will continue talking about it. And again, please continue to reach out, email us your video, and we'll have it on air. Thanks.
I love that you were the one that got out of the live truck to go check in the back of the...
Well, I had to. I was in there by myself. My photographer was getting ready for a news conference, but
okay.
it jolted me, and I'm thinking, who could possibly be
You're gonna
doing
go
this?
get 'em.
Yeah, I wanted to see what was going. Who was playing a prank?
Yeah.
But it was Mother Nature.
Yep. Mother Nature
Yeah.
pulls some pretty strong pranks sometimes. All right, Karine, glad you guys are okay. You're back here with us.
Wow. Who would expect this on the 4th of July?
Yep.
Earthquakes and fireworks.
So I believe we have some video, new video in from Trona.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if we can take a look at that.
Yep, there it is. That's a construction site in Trona where a lot of residents and businesses felt the bulk of this earthquake. You can see things beginning to fall off the shelves there as that shaking continues. It looks like it even got stronger, or those shelves got a little bit more aggressive there. Remember, one guy said it started and then it acted like it was going to end, and then it started up again.
Kind of jolted up again.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that construction site video, that
strong.
was shaking and rattling and rolling there too.
All right, Mark Kono continues to fly above Ridgecrest. Let's get up to him now. Mark, what do you got for us?
Yeah, Glenn and Lou, good afternoon again. Here you go, coming to you 5,000 feet from above Ridgecrest here. Now, we are right over China Lake Boulevard here, right at Upjohn, and that is going to be an Albertsons supermarket that we're looking at right now. You know what, being a holiday here, it's hard to know what exactly is closed for the holiday and what had to be evacuated here. Now, right across the street from this Albertsons is the Walmart that we were referencing earlier here. We understood that the Walmart did sustain some damage in the interior of the building here. Unknown if that Walmart was open at the time here, but again, a lot of stuff kind of coming down shelves from inside of that Walmart here, and so now we understand that that Walmart is essentially evacuated at this point here. You can see a few people kind of milling about in and outside of the facility here. Again, this is going to be right along China Lake Boulevard and Upjohn Avenue here. Now, if we move slowly to the north along China Lake Boulevard here, China Lake Boulevard essentially splits Ridgecrest in east and west halves here. So if we move up China Lake Boulevard here, roughly about a mile, we will eventually get to an area here, and that's going to be a hospital, and that hospital is going to be Ridgecrest Regional Hospital, and that is a point of interest that we were looking at earlier before. We did understand that one or more hospitals in the area were undergoing evacuations as a precaution as a result of this earthquake here. Now, we don't see a mass or a gathering of people outside of the hospital here. We did see some first responders out front along China Lake Boulevard here, but this is going to be along the south side of the facility here, right along, we believe, Drummond Avenue here, or just north of Drummond Avenue here. What looks to be some sort of a triage type facility here, right in the parking lot just on the south side of the hospital here. And so that's going to be a point of interest here. Just to the left of that is going to be a helicopter waiting to transport anyone we imagine should the need arise here. But again, this is going to be just in the middle of the town of Ridgecrest here. Now, that's kind of what we're looking at this point here. The helicopter, it looks like the crew is getting someone ready for a possible transport here. But if we widen out the shot, Ridgecrest from 5,000 feet looks, for the most part, peaceful at this time. Again, it being a holiday, it's hard to know exactly what was closed because of the holiday and what had to close as a result of the earthquake here. Now, at the time of the earthquake here, we understood that there were several small fires in the area, that as a result of some ruptured or broken gas lines it looks like for the most part all of those fires have been put out, and that is certainly some good news here thanks to the help of the first responders who are on scene here. We do have a Kern County Sheriff's Department helicopter also overhead the town, and he is kind of doing racetrack patterns throughout the grid here in Ridgecrest just to make sure that everything is okay, and so that is certainly some good news here. But again, from 5,000 feet it certainly looks like a peaceful town at this point here. Hopefully that is the case. They are no doubt undergoing some damage assessment here. But what level of damage we're still trying to ascertain at this point here. But again, Rich Prickett, our Sky 5 photographer, kind of going from the bottom left to the top right here, that is going to be China Lake Boulevard, which is the main boulevard going through the town of Ridgecrest. And again, you know, a lot of these facilities or a lot of these larger parking lots essentially empty at this point. Again, possibly because of the holiday, and again, possibly because of potential evacuations because of internal damage inside of the warehouse. So that is something that we are trying to learn at this point here. But in the meantime, it does look peaceful. No big fires to speak of at this point. No fires to speak of at this point. Again, thanks to the first responders here in Ridgecrest. Guys, that is the update from overhead in Sky 5 HD. Let me send it back down to you in Hollywood.
All right, thank you very much, Mark. And again, the biggest earthquake to hit Southern California in 20 years, striking this morning at 10:33 a.m. We're just about 2.5 minutes short of 3 hours ago that happened. 125 miles north of Los Angeles, 10 miles northeast of Ridgecrest, where we have seen some damage, as well as in the town of Trona, which is up Highway 178, about 24 miles northeast of Ridgecrest. Those are really the two areas where we've got the reports of really any damage whatsoever. Also, Highway 178, apparently there is a crack in it about 12 inches wide going all the way across that two-lane highway. That's not too bad. We've seen potholes bigger than that here in Los Angeles.
I've hit potholes that large.
And if you hit that going about 65 or higher, you'll probably be fine.
Yeah. And we've been listening to Dr. Lucy Jones all morning, and she was talking about, and this is a quote, "We expect to see a lot of earthquakes today."
Yeah.
So obviously they're getting aftershocks, they're getting temblors, and they're going to see more in that particular area through Ridgecrest, Trona, and possibly even closer to LA County, Orange County, the Inland Empire, maybe the Antelope Valley. So that, again, a distinct possibility today.
And we also are being told, speaking of Dr. Lucy Jones, they're going to have that presser at 2 o'clock, and we'll take that live, so stick around with us. We're also streaming live on KTLA.com if you have to leave your television. If you're somewhere and you can't actually watch, we do stream live at KTLA.com. If you're traveling today or traveling tonight or possibly have friends coming in, LAX apparently is under normal operations at this hour, no issues there. Also, LADWP was sending folks out, and they are reporting as well as of at least about an hour ago that no significant reports of damage. And President Trump has been briefed on this earthquake. So those are some of the updates in the last hour or so.
Yeah, really the most damage that we have seen is that one liquor store in Ridgecrest.
Yep.
They probably seem to have suffered more damage than anybody else, at least what we've seen on social media or anything that our viewers have sent to us. We had the one gentleman who up in Trona, Ed, telling us that his big screen TV fell over, his oven
tipped over,
some glasses falling off the shelf.
Yep.
An oven tipping over is pretty strong.
It's very
right.
Ovens weigh typically 100 pounds or more.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of intensity. It's a lot of power. And these videos that we continue to take a look at, and if you do have videos that you've taken and you live in these areas, or if you had a pool or a pet that was disturbed by some of this activity earlier today, please send them into our newsroom here at KTLA. It's very important to continue to see these videos, and this is from much earlier this morning. This is the Ridgecrest area. This video, unfortunately, is of a home that was compromised. It most likely was compromised by a gas line. Good news, though, you can see the firefighters getting a quick jump on that, but there was a considerable amount of damage done there.
When you see that pickup truck was right in front of that fire, too. That was a dangerous situation.
A lot of folks still planning to have their July 4th barbecues, though. Obviously here in LA County and the city directly, we did feel it. Of course, we felt it out here in Hollywood. Actually, I didn't talk to you about it. Did you feel it?
I was shocked. I was in the car on my way in, and I didn't feel it really.
Okay.
I was in the parking lot here, KTLA.
Okay.
So I don't know if I was.
Were you in the suburban?
I was in the suburban.
That's probably why you didn't feel
You
it.
definitely didn't feel it.
I was in the Beast.
I love that beast.
Yeah, if you're in a moving car, usually you don't.
No.
Yeah. And then you open the door and there's a flurry of activity here. Like,
Well,
what happened?
My phone started the ting, ting, ting,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
the bings, the texts
Exactly.
were going off, and I knew something was up. And sure enough, I walked in here, and Elise and Mazen, our producers, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And that's
Happy July 4th.
Yeah.
All right, we have on the phone now Eric Sharon from the San Bernardino County Fire Department. Can you give us any updates of what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Well, we're moving along in our assessment process. As you can imagine, we see a large area to cover. This is a lengthy process. We have come across a handful of structures that have sustained damage, some minor cracking to the walls. We haven't come across any buildings that have collapsed or suffered major damage along those lines.
And where were those areas?
Up in the northwest section of our county, so that would be encompassing the communities of Argus, Trona, and areas to the northwest of that.
We're also hearing a lot of several folks don't have electricity.
I have not heard any confirmation of outages, but our crews, as they conduct their assessments, are finding numerous lines down and some power poles damaged. They're also reporting many Edison trucks in the area that are conducting their own surveys and beginning rehabilitation and repair to the damage.
Okay. Any reports of anything up in the Hemet area, which is you got the mountains that's, kind of separating San Bernardino proper from that part of the county.
I'm sorry, Hemet?
Yeah.
Hemet would be down in Riverside County, so that would be well south of
I'm
this.
sorry. What am I thinking of? Never mind. I got the wrong town.
We've been sitting here at the desk for a little while.
I can imagine.
So you're basically, you guys are having a busy day, period, department-wise, just with the holiday and what to expect there with ambulances and fires and the fireworks. Do you bring in extra crew in this situation, or are you just working with what you got?
We are fortunate to have our assets fully staffed and ready to respond on a holiday like this with the uptick in visitors to our county. We are able to support, we just saw a request and we'll be supporting a request from Kern County to provide some assets to their area as well to support their efforts in addition to ours. But even with these resources committed to this, we have a USAR team up in the northwest section of the county doing their own damage assessment. We are still staffed and ready to respond to any additional emergencies that may occur in our area.
Okay. Actually, here, I'm going to correct myself now. What I meant was actually the Apple Valley area, Lucerne Valley, around there. Any reports of any damage around there?
I have not had any confirmed reports of damage up in that section of our county.
Okay, and up in the mountains?
No reports of damage in any of our mountain facilities.
All right, anything additional you'd like to share with our viewers before we let you go?
We appreciate their patience and understand that this is an ongoing thing. We will be assessing, photographing damage. We're plotting this, and we will continue to assess and reassess. Most specifically, one of the largest hazards we're looking for in this situation is any natural gas leaks. With an earthquake of this magnitude, the potential to break some of those gas lines and begin accumulating gas in any structures is something that our firefighters are looking out for in this process.
On that note, we've been talking about that topic a lot. Kai brought up the importance of turning off those lines when an earthquake hits. Any additional information that homeowners or renters need to know about that? I didn't even really know where mine is, and obviously now I'm going to need to go figure that out. Really important, right?
Absolutely. And for those that weren't affected by this earthquake, it is a great reminder to go and start assessing your house and check your earthquake kit, to go to shakeout.org and look for those plans and ideas on how you can prepare yourself, your home, and your family for a natural disaster like this.
All right. Well, thank you so much for chatting with us for a bit and giving us some pertinent information. We appreciate it, and hope you don't have too busy of a day, and happy July 4th.
Same to you, too.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All right, again, this earthquake hitting this morning at 10:33, a 6.4 magnitude quake. Kind of surprising. This was actually the biggest earthquake we've seen in 20 years. And
20 years.
Which is kind of, you know, a lot of folks, you kind of get lulled into a sense of security, and it's not something that is in the forefront of your mind, which if you live in Southern California, they should be.
Yeah, and you know, that's what Dr. Lucy Jones has been saying, that it's very odd that we have gone through a decade without a lot of earthquakes above 5.0 magnitude. So she said that that has been very abnormal, and this is more than normal. And we most likely over the next 7 to 10 years will see more earthquakes of this size and variety.
Yeah.
So, you know, that was an interesting comment from Dr. Jones.
It really was.
Yeah. Okay, we have some more reaction from people here in Los Angeles, and these people were at Philippe's.
Oh.
Famous for the French dip. People there enjoying the 4th, and then the earthquake hits this morning. Let's hear what some of these people had to say.
I thought maybe I was having vertigo, or, you know, I'm getting older and, you know, I'm kind of wobbling, and then I'm going by someone else just passing by, and they go, I heard that it was an earthquake in the Mojave Desert, like a 6.6 or something like that. So I was really concerned.
Started off like a little bit of shaking, and it continued for about 20 seconds or so, and it was mellow, but definitely, you know, a big one.
We were up at the Fort Moore flat grazing, and I just felt like I was dizzy. You could kind of see things swaying a little bit, and the DJ said, hey, you know, it's an earthquake.
I thought somebody was moving us around, moving the truck around, but it kind of felt, everybody started coming out saying, it is shaking, an earthquake. So we were kind of surprised.
I was sitting in the truck waiting for my dad to actually come here for lunch, and I thought he was playing a prank because the car was moving from side to side, and I even yelled, stop moving the truck, but it wasn't, it was an earthquake. I started seeing all the trees shaking.
Yep.
Always interesting to hear the different reactions, because it always takes everybody about 5 or 6 seconds.
He was like, I thought I was getting old. I didn't know that was a symptom.
That was funny.
All right, let's check in Pasadena. Jennifer McGraw reporting for us there, where there's going to be a lot of fireworks tonight, but lots going on there today too.
Yeah, a whole lot of fun, not only fireworks, but they got the day tipped off there with this big earth shake. Isn't it amazing how the earth just shakes and you can feel it 160 miles here in Los Angeles County? Some people told me they were taking a shower. Some people told me it was their first earthquake. And here this family is visiting from Ontario. And Sergio, you're basically telling me you were holding on for dear life. What were you thinking when this happened?
Well, I was on the phone, and then I felt, sitting on the sofa, I felt it kind of slow movement. Then I waited for a while. I was on the phone. I said, hey, is there an earthquake? I was on the other line. He goes, yeah. And then I felt the second one come in. Then I knew it was an earthquake. Then my daughters came out of their rooms and, hey, Dad, there's an earthquake. I said, yeah, stay away from the windows. Stay away from the windows. And pretty much just wait until it went through. I said, get your stuff ready, because it could be a big one coming. It could be the big one coming.
But the biggest one coming could be perhaps a little baby. This family right here, they tell me that her due date is when, Jocelyn?
It's actually today.
And you thought the earthquake was what?
What?
You thought the earthquake was actually her...
My baby coming.
Your baby coming.
Yeah, but she's not here yet. We're walking to see if, you know, she comes.
So when the earth started shaking, what was your initial reaction? What'd you do?
Wow, like we haven't found an earthquake in a while, so, you know, we're just scared. We didn't know what to do.
You say, honey, my baby's coming.
Yeah, pretty much.
Excited to be a dad?
Yes, I am.
4th of July earthquake baby. Is this what you guys are hoping for? Walk it out? Or what are your plans for the rest of the day?
Just walk it out, see what happens.
Yeah, walk it out, yeah.
Can't wait.
A lot of exercise.
All right, well, thanks. That's what many people are talking to as we sit out here in Pasadena, talking to so many people today who said they felt it or they didn't feel it, and they are looking forward to some of those aftershocks if they missed it. Back to you.
All right, Jennifer, thank you so much. We are going to go out now. There's a news presser happening in Ridgecrest. The Captain Dr. David Wick of the fire department out there is supposed to be speaking. It sounds like it's windy.
We're concerned about the aftershocks, and so we're told that there's going to be a couple aftershocks. And so, if you had any other questions in regards to the incident that's
taking place at Ridgecrest, yes.
Well, regarding dams, I think you guys do deal with a lot of flooding, especially in the winter months. Are you concerned about Lake Isabella?
Yeah, so we've been concerned about, we're always concerned, and thoughts are elevated whenever we have an earthquake and it's in the vicinity of the Lake Isabella Dam. And we've reached out to the Army Corps, and they're assessing the dam now. But we feel like they're actively, reconnaissance is taking place on that situation right now. We'll have more later. As of now, we don't know of any issues.
Do you want to mention anything about the phone lines? We also heard some information about that people...
The phones and radios are being told okay out of Ridgecrest. They are shutting off gas and power in certain areas. Protection of everybody out of the Ridgecrest area.
And my final question for you is, a little trivial, but it is 4th of July. Any event cancellations that you know
I'm not aware of the events out in Ridgecrest that were taking place today, however.
All right, we were trying to listen there to Fire Department, David Witt from Ridgecrest Fire Department, the captain out there, but it sounds like a little windy with that microphone. Yeah. It's a little annoying can't really hear what's going on there, but obviously they're going to have a busy day in Ridgecrest, the fire department there with July 4th going on with ambulances, also a lot of surveys that I'm assuming that every firefighter is out of every station there.
Yeah, and I did hear him say that the phone lines, power lines were good to go, so they weren't having a big problem with that. So that's some pretty good news.
There's a little bit of confusion on, who's responsible for what with county lines. Ridgecrest is on the edge of Kern County, and then you go up the the highway to Trona, and Trona is literally in the northwest corner of San Bernardino County. I mean, and that is a huge county.
Yep.
A lot of square miles, and I mean, it's actually closer to Bakersfield. If they had any problems, you'd almost think they would get some assistance from there.
Yeah, well, we saw some life flights that looked like they might have been taking off out of there, and maybe that's a destination. I would imagine that, we were talking about the hospital there in the Ridgecrest area. I would assume that they could have some cuts, some scrapes, some bruises, things like that. There's a lot of glass that we've been getting word of and seeing video of that has fallen off of shelves, people's homes, maybe some chandeliers, things like that. And that's why it's so important to, when you do experience an earthquake, even if it's late at night, you always keep hopefully a pair of shoes or sandals next to the bed, because there's a lot of glass that falls on the floor. And you hear hospitals talk about that a lot of their visits that they have from patients after earthquakes are from cuts that are on the feet or on the hands. So those are things that they see a lot of in these hospitals.
Well, you jump out of the bed because you're like, oh my God, the earthquake, and you run to go do whatever, and you don't even realize, maybe not even next to your bed, but in the hallway,
sure,
next
the hallway.
Bedroom or something.
Yeah.
It's important to be prepared. We've heard so many people talk about it, and some of us are even saying that we may be prepared in one way but not prepared in another. But it's really, on these days, it's just kind of always a reminder. Doesn't mean necessarily you're going to get it done, but you don't ever want to have those regrets. I think still, though, we were saying, do you have your barbecue still?
Yeah.
But I think, you got to go ahead and do it, but it's always in the back of your mind.
Well, I think it depends on, where you are and how the earthquake affected you. I'm not, this is in Ridgecrest. This looks like a triage area, maybe.
It's actually, it's a Walmart.
Outside the hospital?
It's a Walmart parking lot. And I've been trying to see what if I could try and speculate as to what's going on there. But they look to be having lots of beverages and waters and things that are under some of those tents out there. And there's some ice, other things like that. So it's hard to tell. Maybe Mark Kono, as we check in with him throughout the next few minutes, has heard anything from the ground. But these could be people that are coming to help out their neighbors. You can see they're handing out actually waters right there. So they're definitely, there's some activity.
Well, and also ice too, because like you said, it's warm. It's not, triple digits necessarily, but 90s with no air, that's not fun, especially senior citizens and the children.
Yeah. And again, it's 4th of July, so we weren't expecting this to happen today at all. People were expecting to just be relaxing and barbecuing and spending a good time celebrating with their families, and then all of a sudden, 10:33 in the morning, you're struck by an earthquake. So it's something that comes literally out of the blue.
Mark, I don't know if Mark Kona, can you actually hear us at this point?
He's up.
Mark, if you can hear us, what exactly is going down there with the blue on?
Hey there,
the blue
Glenn and
tents?
Lou. Have a look at this. This is going to be that Walmart that we have been looking at here for the past hour or so. This is going to be right at the intersection of China Lake Boulevard here and Bowman Road. Now, outside of the Walmart here, you can see they have set up several easy ups, and well, it looks like they've brought out some supplies. We are trying to figure out if this is part of a potential relief effort. We did see them bringing out some water, some Gatorade, several pallets full of those types of items here. We see some customers kind of milling about here, and some folks are able to get some of those supplies here. So again, if this is part of a potential relief effort here, it is happening at the Walmart here. So we'll try and get some confirmation for you here. But again, this is that Walmart that we understood had undergone a bit of damage here during the earthquake here that happened just shortly after 10:30 in the morning. A lot of the merchandise. Okay, thank you. I'm at 45. Had sustained a lot of the damage to the inside of the buildings here, with a lot of the merchandise coming off of shelves and things of that nature, things that you might expect with a high magnitude type earthquake here. So here we are coming to you from 4,500 feet over on the south side of Ridgecrest here, and having a look at that Walmart Superstore. Again, that's going to be right at the intersection of China Lake Boulevard and Bowman Road here. Now, right across the street from that was, I believe, an Albertsons supermarket here. And again, this mall here essentially empty at this point, not many cars, and so it's unknown if these facilities are even open, or were they closed as a result of the earthquake, or were they closed because of the 4th of July holiday here. So again, this is just across the boulevard here over on the south side of Bowman on the west. Okay. And just on the west side of China Lake Boulevard here. Now, as we move up China Lake Boulevard here about a mile here, this is a hospital that we had pointed out the last couple of times around here, and that's going to be the Ridgecrest Regional Hospital here, and that's going to be just north of Drummond Avenue here, right on the west side of China Lake Boulevard here. And earlier we did see several responders out in the front parking lot area there. We understood that there might have been some evacuations to hospitals in this area, and also what appears to be perhaps some sort of a relief center, a triage type situation here over on the south side of the hospital here. So we haven't seen much in the way of patients requiring treatment or people coming in and out of the area here, but hopefully this is a situation where the folks in the hospital are okay. Again, we did understand that some evacuations were taking place earlier at area hospitals here. Perhaps Ridgecrest Regional Hospital was one of them. In the meantime, though, it does not seem that there are any people out in the front around the side of the facility here. But having said that here, coming out to a wider shot, we can kind of show you the town of Ridgecrest here. That's going to be China Lake Boulevard here at the bottom right, going up towards the center of the screen. Ridgecrest, not too big of a community here, so we can almost kind of visualize the entire town from our wide shot given to you by Sky 5 photographer Rich Prickett here. Now, again, we're at 4,500 feet, having a look to the north from the south side of Ridgecrest here, and so this is kind of the scale of what we are seeing here. We understand there are some power outages, some scattered power outages in the area. We have not seen anything like that, four-way stop type situations here, blinking lights, anything like that. And we also understood that there were some spot fires here and there, and that as a result likely of some ruptured or sheared gas lines. It appears that those have all been put out thanks to the efforts of the fire department as well as the sheriff's department out here. So again, things in Ridgecrest seemingly looking relatively calm after what appears to be a pretty violent earthquake here. And again, that's going to be China Lake Boulevard here, and potentially a relief effort underway here at the Walmart, where we do have several easy ups and employees out front and some folks out in the parking lot here, and bottles of Gatorade, bottles of water, things of that nature under several easy ups right outside the Walmart here. So we again will try and get some confirmation of what exactly is going on here. In the meantime, it does look like that at the very least the Walmart is going to be at least partially staffed in the wake of this earthquake. So you can see what appear to be well, some fire crews going into the building there. Again, an ongoing situation, a fluid situation here in Ridgecrest. Guys, that is the update from overhead in Sky 5 HD. Let me send it back down to you in Hollywood.
All right, Mark and Sky 5. Again, this is outside of Walmart. We just saw a bunch of firefighters trekking inside of the structure, and they've got these, these blue tents set up outside. And it looks like they're selling supplies or handing out supplies. There goes a gentleman right there. Looks like he's got a case of water.
Maybe there's a chance the electricity's out. All right, obviously when things like this happen, a lot of times, you know, a lot of us felt it, but then what, I'd say 45 seconds later, you start getting the bings on your phone, social media, everything starts popping up. And Corrine Winters in the newsroom, she's following some of the things that are happening on social media after this earthquake. Hi.
Hi, Lou. It's been fascinating just talking about our experiences, what we felt in studio, out in the field. But take a look at this video, and it really sums up just how powerful this quake was. This mother eagle here probably had no idea this would happen when she started her day. She actually flew, left her 3 little babies there in that nest. She was shaken up. This was from a live stream. The location is near or on Channel Islands. And again, she was probably wondering, oh my goodness, let's take flight, what's happening? But again, that was just temporary. She came back and made sure her little babies were okay. But it wasn't just that. Wondering, oh my goodness, let's take flight, what's happening? But all across the region, they tried capturing this on their video. When you see this footage, keep in mind this was after the initial shock probably settled in, so it was probably a lot more dramatic than this, but you can see items falling off the wall. This is from a business, a chiropractic office in Ridgecrest. And again, this
Thank you all for tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. We will be on live tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. As always, thank you for tuning in to the Grand Solar Minimum channel.